Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you're listening along with us up in the Shreveport area, 1130 The Tiger. If you're watching on CST or on our YouTube channel, 104.5 ESPN. You can also check out prior interviews, our Hangin with Hester and Hanny page on YouTube. How you doing, sir?
A lot of ways to look at our ugly mugs and listen to our great voices.
Listen and watch. Paul O'Neill here today, Playboy Marty, and, of course, Josh Ward, our audio producer today. And thank you for being with us. In about 15 minutes, Chris Doering will be with us. Alex Scarborough in hour number 2, Jimmy Ott in hour number 3. We're going to talk lines with Jimmy. But for the rest of it, it is SEC scheduling. And I tell you, Jacob, we knew during the show they announced that LSU would open with Mississippi State. That was part of their, slow reveal yesterday.
They played that perfectly. They played the 2 games, and then week 1, and then the full schedule.
If I had walked into the Southeastern Conference office yesterday and they had said, you're representing LSU, give me the 10 games in the order that you want, put the open date where you want. You know the 10. You know your 10 opponents. Yep. Put them in the order that you want. I would have put the 10 games in exactly this order. I mean, some of them don't matter all that much. I mean, you could have flip-flopped Vanderbilt and Missouri if you had wanted to. You could have flip-flopped Arkansas and Ole Miss if you had wanted to.
Right.
But if you had said, sign off on this or make any changes that you want to, I would have put it exactly like this. Same thing as a week and a half ago when they added the 2 opponents.
Right.
If you'd have said, give me the 2 that you want, where you want them. You got to play 1 at home, 1 on the road. Give me the 2 you want. I want Vanderbilt and Missouri.
I would have pulled my hamstring trying to sign the paper.
Yeah. I want Vanderbilt at home, and I want Missouri on the road. Done. Okay. How do you want to play them? Okay, here's the thing. I want my open date before Alabama. Okay, done. I want to start at home. Done. I want games at the front of the schedule where I'm going to be a big favorite before I got to play somebody good. Done. We'll give you 3 of them. I want separation between Florida, Auburn, and Alabama. Done. I want to finish with somebody easy at home. Done. Okay. That's it. This is as good as you can do. If they don't win, it won't be because the schedule maker screwed them. All that could have happened yesterday that would have really put LSU in a bind, and I said this on the show before the schedule got revealed, was if they had put Florida, Auburn, and Alabama in a row, in some kind of order. That would have been tough. That would have been bad. If they had put Florida or Auburn or Alabama first or second on the schedule, that would have been tough. I would have filled it out exactly like this.
I never thought in a 10-game SEC schedule you wouldn't have back-to-back brutal weeks, and that's what I put on Twitter last night. The fact that you don't have 2 back-to-back games where you're thinking, man, this is going to be a grind. This is the part in that schedule because even between Auburn and Alabama, you do have that very important bye week. And so you're not going to have back-to-back weeks where you have this grueling test on your body. And so I love the Mississippi State opener because I think that gives you an opponent that your players will respect, right? They're not going to just say, oh, it's Vanderbilt or, oh, it's Mizzou or, oh, it's Arkansas. Now, you're going to be favored by a lot of points in this game, but still it's somebody that you can motivate your players off of, and you get ready for that Mike Leach offense, and you get multiple weeks to do so, which I think is very important. I like the fact that Florida is 4 games into it. You know who you are going into that 4th game. You have 3 games, like you mentioned, where you're going to be big favorites. Love South Carolina at home in between Florida and Auburn. So this schedule to me is exactly what you want if you're an LSU fan. I think the SEC, when you look at Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and LSU, they kind of all got taken care of. Florida, out of those contenders, probably has the toughest 2-game stretch, I would imagine, with A&M and LSU. But even that, I mean, Florida against A&M, I think is a very winnable game, and you get LSU at home. And so the SEC took a look at it, and look, it is what it is. I think the favorites got blessed, if you will.
They got taken care of.
Yeah.
And they got taken care of in tiers. To me, there are 3 tiers in which the league did their scheduling. Okay? Tier 1, the big contenders. We're going to take care of you more than anybody else. We're going to do our level best. Y'all got to play each other, but we're going to do our level best to make it as manageable for you as possible to get into the playoff. And those teams were Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. The second tier was Florida. It's not quite as manageable as the top three, but it's better than most of the rest. And then everybody else is on tier 3. It fell how it fell. And that's why when they had that conference call or whatever they had last week, and I think there were 4, 5, 6 coaches, whatever it was, it said, hey, how'd you come up with this? We're not happy about it. We know who those coaches were. I can give you a pool. Yep. Okay. I know who 4 of them weren't. The coaches at LSU, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Was
one of them right there, a little statue we have, Jimbo Fisher?
The 6, if there were 6 coaches that raised hell on that call, I can give you the 10 coaches that the 6 came out of. Okay, I can name the 6 coaches. All right, and probably they're probably the 6 returning coaches, because maybe the new coaches don't want to make too much of a ruckus. Although in the case of Mike Leach and Lane Kiffin, who knows? But the league put themselves in the best position. And you know what? If I'd have been on that call, I'd have been raising hell too. As a professional hellraiser when it comes to scheduling, okay,
you are. That is true.
I would have said, how did you come up with this? Did you just pick names out of a hat? Because it looks like you took care of you guys. You took care of the heavies. And they did. I mean, they're not even trying to. No. They're not even trying to camouflage this. They took care of their heavies.
Hey, be glad your school's one of the heavies.
Be glad your school's one of the heavies.
Because
for years they weren't.
They weren't. They got taken care of. I think the one team that was a contender to a lot of people because of their schedule was Texas A&M. Yes. Now, if you've listened to this show ever in the 3 years we've been on, you know what I feel about Texas A&M. But a lot of people thought because of their schedule, because trading Clemson for Colorado and Fresno State and Abilene Christian, non-conference wise, and you had some of your tough SEC West games at home. Okay, well, you added Florida, and that was probably the biggest addition of all the 2 games that we added as far as a contender that was going to have a challenge. And then when the schedule's released, you get Alabama week 2, week 3 you get Florida, and then at the back of your schedule you get LSU and Auburn to finish the year. Texas A&M to me went from a team that a lot of people had as a contender, a top 15 team, to it could be another struggle. You could be looking at 3 or 4 losses. And 3 losses is not a bad season unless you have the expectations that Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M have because of what they've done the previous 2 years.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's too bad for them.
Oh, it's not bringing a tear to a glass eye.
That's too bad.
As much as I respect Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo was so good to me as a football coach. This isn't anything against Jimbo. This is against how many people you think were in that stadium, 7 overtimes? However many people were there, all them.
Right.
Just them. Just blanket over them.
I have no feelings of sympathy because in my opinion, LSU has gotten the short end of the schedule and stick for so long at the behest of a select few in the conference that had to have their way when it came to scheduling. So now that they're on the end that's getting a break, I feel no guilt. I feel no remorse whatsoever. Give them to me in the order that they're coming in. I'm fine with it.
You earn the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's good to have a seat at the grown-ups table.
You truly do, though. You earn that, don't you? I mean, you earn the benefit of the doubt. You go out there and you're a winning program and you win games, you're going to get taken care of. That's the matter of fact. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You win games, you win championships, they're going to take care of you in almost every situation.
I also, when you look at the conference schedule as a whole and you just go week by week, man, there's going to be a lot of good football. A lot of good football teams. We don't know exactly how the prep is going to affect them, but man, when you look at a regular SEC schedule, and it's sort of like you got to pick the dogs out. It's like, okay, what we got this week? Okay, well, Ole Miss is playing a conference game, and Auburn's playing a conference game. A&M's playing Abilene Christian. Throw that one out. Okay, South Carolina's playing the Citadel. Throw that one out. Oh, look, Florida's playing Kentucky. Oh, that's good. There's nothing to pick out. All the games are league games. Now, even with that, you're going to have, and we'll talk a little bit with Jimmy about this later, but you got some big point spreads in week 1. Massive point spreads. But they're conference games, okay? all you can do is all you can do. You're not going to have
Right.
5 pick'em games every week in the league. There are haves and have-nots in the league, but at least you're not going through there saying, oh, okay, there's not this non-conference just squash game
Right.
that is up at the front.
I want to ask you a team we haven't talked about. I want to ask you about the Georgia Bulldogs because we've talked about the other contenders and kind of the toughest spots on their schedule. It looks like to me, and I'll see if you disagree with me, one of the toughest spots could be for them is Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, because I realize, and we kind of joke about what I think of Kentucky, but Tennessee and Kentucky are still B teams to me. They're teams that are going to play hard. They're going to be physical. And then you've got them in between Auburn and Alabama. So off the top, I think Georgia, as far as first 5 games, is going to get challenged the most. I'm not saying they're going to lose 2 games, but they will be challenged in that 5-game stretch there. So Georgia, I guess if you want, and by the way, then you get Florida after a bye week. So Georgia's kind of their strength of their schedule comes right there at the beginning of it because they end it with Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Mizzou after Florida. So their final 4 games, they're going to be big favorites.
Maybe one of these days, Georgia and Auburn will figure out that it's not necessary that they play every single year. Maybe for Florida, they'll decide it's not necessary that we play LSU every single year. Maybe Tennessee will decide it's not necessary that we play Alabama every single year, and you can have some breaks in the schedule from time to time.
Me and you are always going to disagree on that. I love LSU and Florida playing every single year because from my perspective, that's my rival. Like that's who I consider.
I understand why,
and I love that game. And it's more difficult. And I understand completely why you're like, wait a minute, can we just get Vandy and Mizzou in the rotation and not Florida? But
I'd like to play Tennessee and Georgia too, if for no other reasons than I like going to those 2 particular stadiums. Okay, but that's a thing for another day. What'll be the determining factor is the middle. Okay, the 3rd and 4th teams in the East and the West.
Right.
Because I think we consider that Alabama and Georgia, LSU and Florida are all top 8 teams.
Yeah, right.
Okay? Do you think that Auburn and Texas A&M are better than Tennessee and Kentucky?
On paper, yeah.
Okay.
On paper,
and we'll see if that plays out. But that'll end up telling the tale probably because at the bottom of this, okay, Arkansas's bad, Vanderbilt's bad, Missouri's probably going to be bad. There's not a whole lot of difference, I don't think, between South Carolina and Mississippi State, for instance. But Auburn, A&M versus Tennessee, Kentucky, that'll probably tell the tale on who's got the toughest schedule. We are brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. When we come back, Chris Doering will be with us. We'll talk schedule with him. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is big. Really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Richard's Honda. With 0 to the 4th power on brand new Honda Civics. That's 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 security deposit, and 0 first month payment. Plus, summer clearance on every new vehicle in stock. Just another reason why people call Richard's Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, Your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, join us for a Tuesday edition of Hangin with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard Honda. Hunt Palmer sits in with us for an hour. We'll also be joined by Chris Doering of the SEC Network on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Charles Hanagriff, Jacob Hester here, hanging with Hester and Hanny. We bring in Chris Doering from the SEC Network. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Good to be on with you again.
All right. What were your initial thoughts when the schedule was released last night?
I'll say this. First of all, I think the SEC has done a nice job of taking a page from the NFL PR playbook. They have made themselves relevant year-round, especially this year, and I thought they did a great job with creating some anticipation of that schedule release show last night. It was kind of fun. I think everybody was tuned in. Obviously, all eyes were on our conference. But I think the thing that stood out to me about the schedule itself, Hester and I actually talked about this on our show Monday morning. Like, I was expecting these big stretches of games where teams were going to have 4 and 5 really difficult games in successive weeks. And as you looked at it, even though, you know, the Arkansas and Missouri schedules are really, really challenging and that everybody's going to have a tough go, I thought it was fairly equitably done in spreading out games and giving, you know, teams. I didn't see anything more than maybe 3 challenging games for any one team in successive weeks, which I thought was a really good job of playing Jenga by the SEC offices.
CD, you really didn't see that back-to-back stretch that we've talked about so many times for the contenders. The contenders' schedules really line up well when you look at Alabama, Florida, Georgia, LSU, the top contenders. I think Georgia would probably have the biggest run when they've got in week 2. They've got Auburn followed by Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky, and then the bye week before the cocktail party. So out of the contenders, do you think Georgia maybe has the toughest stretch, considering Tennessee and Kentucky are B football teams you know are going to play hard?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I mean, again, that's based on our preseason expectation, and Tennessee obviously finished the season up strong, winning their last 6 ball games. Auburn, we have this perception of what they typically are, but things could very well be different. But I do think, as I look at the teams, you know, the 2 top teams that we perceive to be favorites in the West and the favorites in the East. I do think that Georgia may have had the toughest run. And for Florida fans, being down here in Gainesville, that was the thing that everybody was kind of most upset about. This was supposed to be a year for Florida to have the advantage in scheduling with Georgia having Alabama in September. And now, with the schedule being realigned a little bit and having a 10-game schedule for everybody playing SEC opponents, it got more difficult for Florida with the addition of Texas A&M and not Arkansas, but Texas A&M being added to the schedule. But I do think Florida fans take some solace in the fact that there is a little bit more challenging run for Georgia than there is probably anybody else in the conference.
Chris, what did you make of the report last week that when the coaches got together and talked about this, whatever, as a conference call or whatever, that a number of coaches that had a problem with the way that the SEC put this schedule together? In other words, they wanted to know what the formula was, what rhyme or reason that they used to put this conference schedule together, and it's probably pretty easy to pick out who those coaches were. What'd you make of that?
Well, I heard rumors specifically about one guy, and Hester and I have had Eli Drinkwitz on our show before. He seems to be a very laid-back, kind of easygoing guy, but I heard he was one of those that was extremely hot about the way the schedule shook out, as he probably should be. I mean, at the same time, there's only a limited amount of combinations that you have when you have 13 other possible opponents and you're trying to make sure that everybody's having somewhat of a balanced schedule. It is going to be challenging for Arkansas. It is going to be challenging for Missouri, and they probably do have a little bit of a complaint. But at the same time, if you're Arkansas or Missouri, I'd rather have it happen this year than have it happen, in a couple of years when you have a team that you might be able to contend with, and you're having to face that. Now, let me look at it from a different perspective too, because Hester, you and I have talked about this. As players, I think we kind of relish that opportunity. Like, fans sit around wringing their hands, oh, we got this tough schedule, we got to play these guys. Like, I think as players, we were open to that challenge. I look at Kentucky players, I bet they're excited about going to Tuscaloosa. I bet they're excited about playing one of the best programs in the history of college football, and look at that as a real measuring stick opportunity to show that they're not just one of those mid-level teams, that they are one that's ready to ascend into the upper echelon of the SEC.
Chris, when you looked at this schedule, was there a team maybe both ways you thought was a contender, and then because of the schedule change, maybe not a contender now, and then one that you didn't really think was a contender, but because of their schedule, they could make some noise?
I don't necessarily think so. As a Florida guy, I was actually fairly pleased with the way the Florida schedule shook out. I look at one of the things that we often heard, particularly in the 90s when I was at Florida, was Tennessee fans saying, well, if we played you guys at the end of the year, we'd beat you. We always played them early in September. And, of course, the one year in 2001 when 9/11 happened and they kicked that game back to the end of the year, Tennessee came to the Swamp in the last week of the season and beat Florida. So I think that's one of the things that Tennessee fans are probably excited about. I can tell you this, us Florida boys don't like the idea of potentially going to the cold weather on December 5th to have to play up north. So that could be a little bit of a challenge for the Gators. But I don't think there's anybody that I would have necessarily eliminated because of the way the schedule kind of played out, and vice versa. I don't think there's anybody. I really only think there's probably a handful of teams, I'll say 5, that I think could even contend to win the conference this year, in my opinion.
Now, I know you weren't extremely high on Texas A&M, but I do think Texas A&M, a lot of people looked at them and they had the hype because their schedule was going to be easier than it's been in the past because you take Clemson off and then some of your West games were at home. But they've got Week 2 Alabama, Week 3 Florida. I think people who thought Texas A&M was going to contend for the SEC, that's going to be a very difficult stretch. You got to go to Tuscaloosa, then you got to play Florida at home back-to-back weeks. That might be the toughest 2-game stretch out of the whole schedule released to me.
Yeah, you're right about that, and I guess the reason I didn't acknowledge that is because I didn't really consider Texas A&M to be a contender this year anyway, and I'm with you. I do know that everybody was pointing to year 3 in College Station for Jimbo Fisher to make that leap to the next level and provide some return on investment for what they're paying him. But the schedule did get more difficult with the addition of Florida and Tennessee from the East, and the way that it plays out with having to play against Alabama and Florida in back-to-back weeks there in early October, it's going to make it really challenging for them. But I have too many question marks about that team. I think Kellen Mond has teased us at times. He's shown that he can make tremendous throws. He's shown that he can create mismatches in the quarterback run game. but at times they just leave you feeling disappointed as well. Like, and not disappointed if you're an LSU fan, but I thought they were going to provide some sort of competition for y'all's boys last year, and they just completely got walked over. So I am skeptical of Texas A&M, and even more so because of the way the schedule plays out.
Chris, now that we're looking at it, we can actually see 10 SEC games on a schedule. And somebody with a powerful voice like Nick Saban comes in and says, you know what, this is what I've always wanted. And you get Reese Davis, who's a pretty powerful media voice, that says, you know what, this is what they ought to go to forever. You feel any momentum, and I know we haven't played these games yet, any momentum that this could one day be a permanent thing?
There's no question. I don't know how you go backwards from here. Like, we've been clamoring for the last few years to eliminate FCS games. Those were just nothing more than money grabs for the athletic departments. We've talked about eliminating group of 5 games. Like, let's make it more competitive. Let's get a chance to rotate through and play some of those teams in our opposite divisions that we rarely get to see. And that's exactly what we're having the opportunity to do this year. We're renewing some rivalries, some games that we haven't had a chance to see in a while, and we're beefing up that schedule. Like, I don't see how you go back from here. And I think in general in our society, we've learned to adapt during this pandemic. Like, we've made some changes out of necessity that are going to become the norm going forward. I don't think people are going to travel as much as they once did. I don't think people are going to commute to work the way that they once did, because they're finding ways to do things differently out of necessity. And I think that's exactly what we're going to find with scheduling going forward, that this is now much more appealing. It makes every game matter more. I don't care about the idea, that a team could be a national champion and have 2 losses. I know Hester doesn't care about that. So
not at all. Love it, actually.
I think that's the thing that we're looking at. I wouldn't be surprised to see an SEC champion this year that has 2 losses. But I think the product that's being put out there, I think the opportunity is there to make more money for the schools at the end of the day. And I do believe that this is going to be something that could push for the expansion of the college football playoffs, which I think we would all love and would provide even more money to the system.
CD, before we get you out of here, I do want to ask you a question about your Florida Gators. Tony, Grimes, Copeland, and Carter all sit out practice yesterday, kind of in this holding pattern for the Florida Gators. What's the latest there? Could potentially you miss out on 3 receivers and the very talented defensive end here?
Well, the ironic part about it is that Kadarius Toney and Jacob Copeland a couple weeks ago were tweeting about the idea of sitting out and that it might be the safest thing to do, which I thought was nothing more than trying to draw attention to themselves and have people talk about whether or not they were going to play. I do understand concerns of not playing, but handle that behind the scenes. But to me, the ironic part about it was Dan Mullen opened up practice yesterday, and in his media conference did acknowledge that there were 4 potential starters that were not at practice and didn't even seem that panicked by it. That's the world we live in right now. Like, could you have imagined Coach Miles or Coach Spurrier or Coach Saban having 4 starters miss practice on the opening day of fall practice and not be completely freaked out about it? But I think that's the thing that these athletic departments, these coaches, they have to walk a very fine line, because you don't want to strong arm a player into playing. You don't want to make them feel like they were manipulated into playing. You want them to come at their own free will and understanding the risks that are associated with it. So you do have to be very gentle about it. But I know you and I have talked about this before, Hester. Like, our mindset was like, hey, I'm not missing a single rep, let alone a practice or a season. And I think these guys will ultimately be there. But it is scary because 3 of those 4 guys that sat out are receivers. And let's not forget, Florida lost 4 of their top receivers last year. They were counting on Toney and Copeland and Grimes to be the big-time pass receivers coming into this season.
It's the idea of having those players out not 3 weeks away from the opener, but 5 weeks away from the opener. Maybe a little bit of that cushion has made them a little bit able to think easier on that. Chris, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Chris Doering from the SEC Network.
Real quick before we take a break, I wonder how the other Florida players are handling that. And I know these circumstances are like we've never really had before, but I know in the NFL, and it's a different situation, I realize that, but when you're holding out, it's hard not to hold it against that player, because you're out there, you're sweating your ass off, you're at practice, the rest of your team's out there, and it's kind of like, if you made the decision to sit out, okay, well, that's your choice. You have that choice in this season. If you do, we have to respect that. But don't keep us in a holding pattern where we don't really know what you're doing, because hey, yeah, we have 5 weeks, Hanny, but we're trying to move forward as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got some games coming up. We got an SEC schedule. We got to know who we can count on. And CD's right. Missing a play in practice just angered me. Like if I had to miss a play, I remember when I tore my plantar fasciitis in both feet one year, and Antonio Gates had the same injury. And Gates got mad at me because I didn't miss a practice. Now, he missed some weeks. He missed some games. And he said, Hess, like, you're my guy. You're making me look bad because you're going out there and you're practicing. And I'm not. I said, Gatesy, I'm not you. I don't have the luxury to sit out there and miss practice. If I miss 3 practices, my ass might not be here next week, right? And so every situation's different, but you got to know who you can count on too.
Ed Ogeron meeting with the media just a few minutes ago, about 20 minutes ago. There is news there. Another LSU player has left the program. We'll tell you who that is when we come back. He was also on with T-Bob and Jordy this morning. We got some audio from that. We'll do some LSU football when we come back here, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Gotros Outdoor Power. With all of your property maintenance needs, they're going to give you the best price. They're going to give you the best service. And with our friends over at SCAG, the Simply the Brave program, giving you a 15% discount off MSRP on all of their SCAG units, their commercial units and their residential units. With the largest parts inventory in the South, you're always going to get great service after the sale and free delivery with all of your new units at Gotros Outdoor Power, 2 locations.
You got 2 locations locally, Airline Industriaplex in Baton Rouge, Airline 74 in Gonzales. Like Hanny said, free delivery. So if you're listening to us up in the Port City area, they're talking to you with that free delivery. And in the month of August, when you buy a SCAG, Patriot Z, Tiger Cat, Cheetah, or Turf Tiger at Gotros Outdoor Power, you'll get your choice of an Echo trimmer or blower absolutely free. Remember to visit the website, GotrosOutdoorPower.com. That's Gotros. We make it easy.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
Get an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on it.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The full SEC schedule has been released. We will dissect it all on Tuesday's AFR. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. So Ed Ogeron with his weekly stop with off the bench, Jordy and T-Bob this morning, and then another media availability here just within the hour. So let's start with the kind of newsy, some stuff. Justin Thomas has left the program. The second defensive lineman now that LSU has lost before they really get started good. Thomas just never could quite grasp a foothold. When he played, Jacob, I thought he showed some real promise, that there was some sparks there, especially as a pass rusher. I thought he had some significant upside, but this is the second time now that he's had to leave the program. And, it's one of those deals where, okay, you lost one. All right. You lost two. Okay. Let's put the brakes on right there because what is a fairly deep position, you've lost two experienced guys that I think both of them would have been rotation guys for you.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any doubt that they would have been in the mix for that defensive end spot, pass rushing spots. And look, you've missed three guys now on defense with the Kerry Vincent news yesterday. So, yeah, you're right. Put the brakes on it because you're starting to take from the same side of the football. And the defensive end position, Hanny, there's a lot of names out there, but that's probably the position that we've asked the question the most. Okay, who's it going to be? Coach O mentioned T.K. McClendon has work to do conditioning-wise. Okay, Ali Gay is a guy that he has been high on, said he had a fantastic summer. Ojulari and Webb are two freshmen that he thinks the world of. In fact, he said two of the best young pass rushers he's been around. And obviously Andre Anthony is a veteran player there. But you're right. Like, you're starting to lose these bodies. Okay, and what can T.K. McClendon give us? Okay, well, we're going to count on two freshmen. We got a junior college player in Ali Gay. So there's question marks at that position. And if you want to slide inside, the other thing that caught my attention, he said Tyler Shelvin's 370 pounds. That's pretty large. Yeah. You can't play at 370 pounds. You can't play at 370 pounds. Look, if you're playing a 3-4 defense and you're playing a zero nose and that's all you're going to do is just sit there over the center and two-gap everything, you can get away with playing a couple plays at 370 pounds. Not what they want from him right now. They want him to be able to disrupt. They want him in the backfield. They want him slanting. They want him getting in those gaps. And that's not a playing weight that you can be effective at. We've seen him at both weights, right? When he got here, he was probably a little over 370 pounds. He couldn't play, couldn't get on the field. When he got down to 345 pounds, he was a borderline all-conference type of nose tackle. And I know he's playing a different position now, but you can't play at that weight. And the odds that if you do get into the game that you're going to be injured are overwhelmingly increased at that weight. I've seen, in all of the football I've watched, I've seen one guy that I thought could play at 375 pounds. One guy, Ted Washington. That's it. I can't, the Washington Monument, that guy could play. But that's it. I've seen a handful of guys that could play at 350. Guys like Tony Siragusa could play at about 350. Norman Hand played at about 340. God rest his soul. But, just very few guys that can play at 350 and one that could play at 370. That's it. If you can think of another guy, post it on the YouTube. But Ted Washington is the list of guys that I've seen that could play effectively at 370 pounds. I've seen some big guys play, but it hasn't been, multiple plays in a row. It hasn't been dominant for a full season. There's been spurts. And so you're exactly right. When you are that size, it's very difficult for you to make an impact on the entire football game. Now, you can come in, Hanny, for 3 plays and make an impact, but you're probably going to give me 10 plays all game long. And so that's not what you're looking for. Tyler Shelvin's a first-round talent. Every mock draft that we've seen has had Tyler Shelvin in the first round. He's one of your best defensive players. And if it wasn't for a guy named Derek Stingley Jr., he might be your best defensive player, right? So you've got to have him at an effective weight where he can make an impact for a full game, not only spurts. 5 weeks to get down to I don't know what's realistic to even ask for him to be able to drop in 5 weeks worth of camp
to be ready for the opener. I mean,
you can
at that weight you can drop more. I don't know if you can get to 350 in 5 weeks.
That's about the maximum I think would be 350.
You're gonna have to hustle to get to that.
You're gonna have to hustle, but it's easy to lose 7 to 10 pounds in one practice. But you obviously have to replenish
water,
that, right? You got to replenish that, and you got to stay hydrated, and you got to eat a big meal to all those type of things. So, I mean, we know we're talking about here because we've seen it so many years in a row, but this is a guy that's got to do everything he can. And maybe it's motivation. Maybe he's 363, right? And Coach O's saying 370 because he wants that out there. He wants, hey, all those NFL scouts, they heard me say you're 370 out there. You better get down to 350 because now the news is out there.
It's like 1 spot per pound. Okay, you were at 345. You were what did McShay have him? I think is the 17th pick in the draft.
It was in the high teens. Yeah.
Yeah. So you went down 1 pick per pound. You just dropped 25 slots. Want to get him back? You're gonna have to drop the weight. There are some injury issues going on with LSU right now at right tackle.
We got Marcus Somerville working at right tackle. He's doing a great job out there. We moved Charles Turner out there working at
oh wow
right. Yeah, so those guys, and they're doing good. Young guys that are doing well, filling in. And again, Austin's going to be our starter, but those guys are going to be able to provide depth in the rotation. So this.
The one guy that they had that is not the only guy coming back, but he's the most tenured guy, Deculus, and the offensive line has got to be reworked. All of them have started, with the exception of probably who ends up starting at right guard. They've started somewhere. Dare Rosenthal has started games.
An SEC game.
Ed Ingram has been a starter in the past. Liam Shanahan has been a starter at another school, and Deculus has started here. But you would like them to get reps together. So hopefully Deculus will
Deculus is key because he's been here for a very long time. He's been a long-time starter. He's gotten so much better throughout his LSU career. Struggled at the beginning, but he's gotten to be a better player as time goes on. Last year, he was obviously part of the Joe Moore, award-winning offensive line. So you want that guy in place because Dumerville is going to be a starter here for a long time. But do you really want to throw a freshman in there? Charles Turner's moving over from center. That's kind of a foreign territory for him. Not to say he can't one day, but you don't want to roll him out there at the beginning of the season.
Todd Harris going to miss some time.
Looking good. Minimum work for Todd. Still a little swelling in his knee. We're still protecting him. We're bringing him along, but it's great to have him back.
And, of course, they got to replace Kerry Vincent, who left the program yesterday.
Yeah, we look at the Cordell Flot's looking good. I mean, he looked good again yesterday. Elias Ricks made some plays. Those guys there, Jay Ward, Rodarius Jones, Dwight McGoffin. So, Corey's done a great job of recruiting those guys, and you have the great Derek Singleton there. So we're fine. We shouldn't skip a beat.
He named them all, but he named Flott first, and we thought we sort of had Flott and Ricks in a pretty significant tussle on the outside when we knew that Vincent was going to be the nickel. So if you're going to kick Flott down, then it's time to ramp Eli Ricks up. We had forgotten to mention Jay Ward yesterday, and we probably should have because he's certainly in the mix there, I would think.
Yeah, I think he is as well. It's another young player that they liked, early last year, but I think it's very important to point out, and if you're wondering, okay, well, the nickel position, how important is that? And I think our listeners are smart enough football fans to know that you can make a lot of hay in the middle of the football field now. It used to be you didn't throw over the middle of the football field in college football. It was, hey, we're going to throw it on the outside. We're going to run the football. That's all we're going to do. But now you got teams putting their best receiver in the slot. Look at the work Justin Jefferson did last year.
Led the team in receptions.
Right? And so nowadays in the spread offenses, they are trying to create a mismatch. They're trying to create one of our best receivers, if not our best. Alabama does a great job of getting mismatches in the slot against your nickel corner. And so you can't say, we'll put our fourth corner out there. No, you might even put your second best corner sometimes in that slot and have your third guy be on the outside because teams are trying to create that mismatch where there's all that room in between the hashes, Handy, because on the outside they can do things with bracket coverage. They can play safeties over. In the middle of the football field, if you have a mismatch, the quarterback's going to notice it like Joe Burrow did so many times last year, and they're going to, pick up 10, 12, 15 yards over the middle of the football field.
Some of the tidbits out of Ed Orgeron's media availability. Take a break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about that. And a tweet that I think kind of captures some of the mood of the national media I want to address when we come back here. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Methern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Join us for a Tuesday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. The guys are live from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street to recap the SEC football schedule release and more. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. The irate parents of Big Ten players have been extremely vocal in the last 24 hours. And, of course, Justin Fields leading the charge with his petition. This was a quote. This was a tweet, and I don't want to single out Brett McMurphy because there's a lot of national media have tweeted out like this. But his tweet was, 3/4 of the world is covered by water. Irate Big Ten parents cover the rest. And that's kind of the tone of a lot of the national media when it comes to why are the Big Ten players so irate? Why are their parents so irate? And I can sum it up this way. For many, I mean a lot, they've got one chance at life-changing money. I mean life-changing money for their entire family, okay? And that's before you get to the unbelievable experience that is college football that you get for just a very, very finite part of your life. And Jacob, I know it changed your life.
Oh,
okay?
absolutely.
And it's life-changing events, it's life-changing relationships, it's life-changing money for those that go to the pros. They get one shot at that. And on the other side, the risk at doing that is contacting a disease that they are, at their age and their health, overwhelmingly unlikely to get. And if they get it, they are overwhelmingly unlikely to have symptoms. And if they have symptoms, they are overwhelmingly likely to recover. You take what they have on the line and what they're playing for, and the odds on them getting this or having it adversely affect their life for a long period of time. And I know there are some potential long-term effects that we don't know. We deal with that every single day. That's why.
There's long-term effects playing football already.
Yes, exactly. They have acknowledged those risks, the CTE risk for the linemen, the amount of weight that they're required to have. I mean, that's not good for. Real Sports did this many, many years ago. They did this thing on NFL linemen when there started to be more and more and more 300-pound linemen, when that became the norm rather than the exception. And they had cardiologists say, when you weigh this much, it's putting pressure on your heart. And they asked them all, if you knew that this was going to shorten your life, would you do it anyway? And all of them said, yes, I'll do it for the opportunity to play football, for the opportunity to make this kind of money, for the opportunity to provide for my family. Yes, I will sacrifice the long-term health risk. They do it every single day. And that's for things that we know have long-term effects. We know CTE is a real thing. We know that the weight of 300-pounders on their heart, we know that's real. We don't know what the long-term effects of the COVID virus is. But they do know that they've got this short window. And they do know that right now the odds are that they're going to get it are very, very small. And if they get it, that they're going to have symptoms are very, very small. And if they have symptoms that they're going to recover in 10 days to 2 weeks are very, very likely. That's why they're irate.
Okay, a lot to unpack there, but I knew blocking James Harrison was probably not going to be good later on down the road 7 times in one game.
Yeah.
I knew pulling on a counter, hitting Calvin Pace for the Jets wasn't going to be good, but I wanted to do it. And I was a grown man, so I made that decision to do that, even in college, right? CD took a shot at me yesterday on Twitter, so I shot one back at him when I'm running over Major Wright, who's actually my guy from Florida now. I knew doing that probably wasn't the best for later on in life, but I'll be damned if I did it again. If the Red Sea parted, I did the same thing again. I knew those things. It was my decision. I was a grown man, even at LSU. I was a grown man. I made that decision. It was my choice, and that's what you're hearing from the players. This is my choice. I want to play because they know what it means. And these parents and everybody listening who has a son or a daughter play sports, the sacrifice, right? I know for me personally, my 10-year-old, well, he's got tackle football practice, and they've got it 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week. And on the days they don't, I'm coaching my 7-year-olds. And the days that he doesn't, I'm coaching my 8-year-olds. That's what we do as parents because we know it's a great foundation for them. We know getting them out there with their peers, with their friends, that is something that can help them grow. It can help them bring out their personality. It can, form bonds that last for a lifetime. I know I still talk to my best friend from high school almost every single day, right? So we know all of those things. And these parents know the hard work that their children put in as well. I tell you what, my son's 10-year-old game, they had a game Saturday. It's supposed to be in Mississippi. It got canceled. I was devastated for him. It was one little game, but I was devastated for him because they practiced 4 times last week to get ready for the game. They were fired up. So even something as small as that, Hanny, I know that these parents are upset for. And you're right, it is life-changing money potentially for some of these guys. We've given you the list of guys who in 1 year went from undrafted or late round to a first round pick and made millions of dollars. And so we've given you all of those examples. So these parents, man, they've not only this year, but they've worked their butts off their entire children's life to get them to those practices, to pay for the equipment, to get the private lessons, whatever it did, so they could live out their dreams, so they could live their dream. And you're telling them they can't play, and it's their choice.
Our good friend Todd McClure asking, he's in his 40s now. Todd, do you hurt every day? Yes. Do you know what caused it? Yes. Would you do it all again? Yes. I mean, without hesitation.
Oh, if Coach O called me right now, I go get in a 3-point stance and go get knocked out.
You're out of eligibility.
Yeah.
Right. Take a break. Be back on the other side. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This is big, really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Richards Honda. With 0 to the 4th power on brand new Honda Civics. That's 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 security deposit, and 0 first month payment. Plus, summer clearance on every new vehicle in stock. Just another reason why people call Richards Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
When you want the best of Louisiana, you don't go to a superstore. We know what we like, and we like it local. Same goes for banking. As one of Louisiana's largest local banks, we offer homegrown services crafted around you. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Hand Injury Lawyers. Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we are brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Welcome into hour number 2. If you listen to us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 1130 The Tiger up in Shreveport. If you're watching along with us on CST or our YouTube channel, 104.5. You can get our previous interviews at Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. Chris Doering from hour number 1. We welcome in Hunt Palmer. And congratulations are in order, the newly engaged Hunt Palmer.
Big weekend. It was fun.
Very good.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, we'll get the stories later. I'm sure that there's Huntisms, right?
There's plenty of stories.
For sure.
Plenty of stuff there. We're gonna get his thoughts on the schedule, but right now we bring in Alex Scarborough from ESPN covering college football, college sports. Alex, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Outstanding. Give us your reaction to number one, the league, the SEC announcing their schedule and the way that it shook out.
I thought the league did the best they could given the circumstances. I texted somebody in the SEC before all this happened that, just wait, no matter what, somebody's going to be angry. And lo and behold, that's sort of how it played out. My colleague, Chris Lowe, and I reported on a conference call with coaches last week that got a little bit heated and questioning how those extra two opponents were decided. But I think the quote at the end of that story sort of summed it up best, and I'm going to paraphrase from somebody in the league office, which is, if we get to this point and this is the argument we're having, then I'm good with it. Meaning, if we can play football and the thing we're complaining about is who we're playing, we've made out all right given the circumstances. So, while I don't think any situation's perfect, I think they made it as equitable as they possibly could. And let's keep the main thing, which is let's stay safe and try to actually have a football season.
Alex, as we look at this schedule, and we've been talking about it earlier on in the show, it looks like the contenders, and if you're looking at Alabama, LSU, Florida, and Georgia as the top contenders in the SEC, it looks like the schedule really takes care of them. And I think Florida has the one A&M and LSU back-to-back weeks. But outside of that, there's no really doomsday scenario for the contenders in the league in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that was one of the things I looked for immediately when it came out was, are they going to stack any portions of the schedule? Because that seems to work out that way sometimes. I think Georgia dealing with Alabama and Auburn pretty close together is a little bit of a trip up, but overall, I think they balanced it out pretty fairly, especially like you said, for the contenders on both sides of the conference. I think there was a little bit of skepticism about who they get in cross division, being Alabama, LSU, Auburn even. And they worked it out as best they could when you considered who they already had on the schedule. But I was really impressed with the overall balance in terms of a week to week and not creating some of those really gauntlet, either a couple of weeks or a full long month that you tend to get in a regular SEC schedule. So maybe that's the benefit out of reworking all this at the last minute, that they could sort of even some of those things out.
Alex Scarborough from ESPN, hanging with Hester and Hanny here on a Tuesday. Alex, I've asked this of a number of people, and I'll lob it your way here. Do you think anything that we have to adjust to this fall and this football season will be something that the league looks at or that the Power 5 looks at and go, God, we kind of like that better than what we've been doing. We're going to keep that, whether it's less games, more conference games, no FCS games. Is there anything that you think carries on after this as a result of this?
I know there's some coaches, including one in Tuscaloosa, who would love for a 10-game SEC schedule to stick around long term, and I think there's some support for it. I think fans would love it. I think there's a lot of support in the league offices, but I just don't think it's a tenable thing given the way a lot of the coaches feel, the way a schedule would stack up and how that would position them in terms of the college football playoff. So while I'd like to see that, and I think it would be the best thing for the conference, I don't think it's really going to happen. I think maybe there's a scaled-down way to approach spring. I think Nick's idea in terms of having more of a preseason, sort of like an OTAs you'd see in the NFL for education for players and walkthroughs, I think that could really catch on. I think it makes a ton of sense. I mean, they're already on campus doing off-season conditioning why not give them extra sort of more teaching as opposed to contact before the season? So I think that's something. As a media member, I wouldn't mind some of these Zooms sticking around. I think that might be a thing. But in terms of concrete ways that the schedule changes, I just don't see that there's enough support for that for it to pass, at least in the immediate.
Alex, the three power conferences that have moved forward with football, for the most part, have reported and for the most part have done a good job with the protocols. The one exception, the one glaring exception, is North Carolina that had to shut everything down with multiple outbreaks. What impact do you think that will have as the ACC moves forward?
See, this is the trick with all things is you have to separate the university from the athletic program, which is a weird thing to do because I'd argue that UNC as a football program has probably done the right thing. I mean, it's what's happening on their campus. You're seeing, an outbreak maybe at Notre Dame happening right now, and I think you're going to see spikes. I mean, Coach Orgeron said today that, students coming back, you don't have to be a doctor to know that there's going to be a spike on campus with students returning. It's how you sort of deal with that and how football programs in particular can sort of deal with it. But the rub in all of this is it's not coaches and athletic directors making these decisions largely. It's school presidents, and they have to look at the whole picture, and that's when things sort of get taken out of the sport's hands, which is, if I'm a UNC and I'm suddenly making the decision to go online only, how can I justify having my student athletes on campus? I think that's going to be a conversation that a lot of these school presidents are going to have to come to grips with, and I don't know where they're going to come out on it. I think students who want football need to listen right now and need to understand that their actions are really going to impact the football team and the ability to have football seasons in places around the country that play college football. If we can't get these outbreaks in order, I just see the trickle down of presidents having to make really difficult decisions that don't look good for conferences that want to play this fall.
Alex, how tied in do you think the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are, say, North Carolina situation changes the ACC? Because we've heard Commissioner Sankey say, we don't want to do it alone, but it's not like it wouldn't be possible. It's not something we want to do, but it could be possible. So do you think all three conferences are still tied together, or something happened in the ACC, the SEC, now that they've released the schedule, would try to continue moving forward?
I think they're tied together in a loose sort of fashion. The thing you heard last week from people who know about these things, which is the Big 12 was the tipping point in terms of if the Big 12 left, maybe the ACC would leave. And if the ACC left, the SEC would be left in a position where I don't know if the optics work to go it alone. So it's kind of like, yes, they're all tied together, but not in a direct sort of fashion. I think they are watching very closely what happens at UNC. And I think the bigger question is if there's an outbreak on a campus and a president decides we can't do this no matter what, can the rest of the conference move forward? Can a conference of 14 move forward with 12? And we've seen that sort of thrown out there in conversation and hypothetical. So maybe one doesn't lead to all of them in a conference, but it definitely is something I guarantee you every athletic director and every school president is watching very closely, because while every conference says it's willing to go it alone, at a certain point the optics of it won't allow them to do it. They need to have another conference standing by them to feel really good about what they're doing. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I think that's just the lay of the land.
Alex Scarborough is our guest. Alex, what impact, if any, do you think that the letters written by the parents of Big Ten players and the petition started by Justin Fields, that I've lost count of how many signatures he's got on it, will have on the Big Ten office, if at all?
I feel like it has very little impact, or is going to have very little impact on the Big Ten in terms of the decision they've already made, because they've already made it. You saw Penn State's athletic director address that the other day and said, look, we're not walking this back. I just don't see how you do that. I think they need to look in the mirror and realize the way they handled it was not the right way. I mean, if you owe it to anybody to explain how you're going to make a decision that takes away a large part of their livelihood, it's the players involved. They need to know exactly why you're doing this. And you saw how well the Pac-12 handled it in terms of releasing a report, talking through things, the way coaches and players have responded to it. as opposed to the Big Ten. There's a right and a wrong way to go about making the same exact decision. The thing that I think benefits, the impact that we're going to see in terms of the short term, is I think it gives cover to the conferences that want to play right now in the Power 5, Big 12, ACC, SEC, to say, look, you might not love that we want to play football right now, but our players want to play football, and we're going to follow our cues from them. You even heard Nick Saban say that last night, that his, whether he's telling 100% truth or not, he said that, look, I'm taking my cues from my players, and they want to play football, and they want to play for national championship. So if anything, the We Want to Play movement and Justin Fields just adds more political pressure on the conferences that are continuing to play to continue doing so, because they can say, look, the players want this at the end of the day.
Alex, I want to ask you a question about spring football, because I know you had an article on ESPN.com earlier today, and you asked Coach Saban, and they talked about he feels like a spring football would be almost like a JV squad because of all the guys with NFL grades going ahead and sitting out and obviously getting ready for the NFL draft. We had Coach Gene Chizik on this show last week, and he said he's completely against spring football because of a lot of factors. The mental part of it was one that he threw out there. So if something did happen and the SEC tried to move to the spring, do you believe that would ever take place, or would they just completely cancel the season?
I haven't been shown a way that they could do it that it wouldn't impact the fall season. And I think that's the biggest thing on the table, is they don't want to do something that's going to impact the other. And they don't want to do something that's not worth their time, which I think is what Nick Saban was getting at, which is, if we're not going to have our full complement of players, what's the point in doing this? And how are you going to justify playing 2 seasons in one calendar year? I haven't heard a good answer for that. And I'll tell you this, I know Nick Saban speaks from a very narrow view, which is the elite of the elite competing for national championships. I have multiple players on my team who are going to be NFL guys who would likely leave, like an LSU or Clemson or whoever. But his opinion on the spring not being tenable is not just his alone. I talked to a group of 5 athletic director and asked him point blank, what do you think about spring season? He said, no way it's going to happen. Just won't work. He said he's going to have players leave. He doesn't know how the calendar would shake out. And if it's happening on both sides of that spectrum, as much as these conferences want to move forward with it, I just don't know how you do it in a way that answers every question and justifies the load you're going to put on a player and coaches and staffs to play 2 seasons in one calendar year. It just feels like a little bit too much.
Alex Scarborough, thank you for your time. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, my pleasure. Thanks, fellas.
Alex Scarborough from ESPN. We're going to do first class, second class, no class here in just a little bit. We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Our friends over at Tiger Air, the American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning units. You're talking about the #1 unit on the market. Why? Because of its efficiency. It's going to save you money. We know this because at my home, we put the American Standard in and immediately saw a decrease in our energy bills. Not only the efficiency, but the programmable thermostat makes it easy for you to lower your energy bills every single month.
So we tell you all the time, you can get a free quote from Tiger Air. Go to tiger-air.com. It's in the top right corner of the website. You can also pick up the phone, give them a call, 225-754-8687. That's free system replacement quotes. And I'm going to charge you this little bitty fee to come out and look at your equipment and tell you exactly what you need. Know that they're going to have that as a free service to you, free system replacement quotes. Also, they service all brands of air conditioners. That's important to know as well. Get in contact with them. Again, tiger-air.com, 225-754-8687.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, the latest from the maelstrom that is college football news. Plus, hear from Mike Triplett as the Saints return to the practice field, break down the latest footage from LSU fall camp, and a new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over.
We're actually doing that next segment.
Josh, hey.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't know what, we were calling Alex at 1. He goes, I thought we were calling it 1. It's 1.
It's 1. And now your mic's
and now
off.
Your mic's off.
Now your mic's off.
Man. I guess I could turn it up. I'm having a Hunt Palmer day, sorry.
What
does
that mean?
Holy moly.
That's the worst Huntism ever. He makes 3 mistakes in 4 minutes and blames it on Hunt.
My gosh.
Hunt, did you propose with your mask on?
I did not. I was in the confines of my kitchen.
Okay,
So
let me cross that one off.
Okay, good.
Hunt likes his bourbon with Diet Dr. Check
I don't
minus
drink
the bourbon.
I don't drink bourbon. We got to do a Scotch tasting thing at the beach a few weeks ago, and we was blind, and they put bourbon in one, and I didn't know it. It just about came back up on the kitchen table.
Okay. I got to tell you, the YouTube chat, they're getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as the huddle, but it's...
Is it the same cast of characters?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot
Got some
a lot
new
of
characters in there, too.
We do. We have some...
Where's our guy, Nook? Nook, look, I love the huddle more than anybody, but we got to get you in this YouTube chat as well.
Just give it a chance. No, I'm not reading that one. Let's see. Hunt's fiance said yes because she has never seen him without his mask.
That's a good one.
Well, it's been a courtship that was 100% football season into a global pandemic.
Hunt's fiance only said yes because he got her drunk on White Claw.
It was sake and martinis, but yeah.
Hunt hid the ring in the pizza when he went to Chuck E. Cheese.
Only Hungry Howie's for pizza.
Okay, I got it.
Well done there.
Yeah,
well done. Well done.
Got the ring out of a Cracker Jack box?
Did not.
God, Cracker Jacks are fantastic, by the way.
But she has a jeweler in her family, so that helped.
Okay, so
we like that.
It gets us caught up. The NBA playoffs into day 2 yesterday. Really really good games. Utah and Denver was terrific, but Orlando, a 13-point underdog, has a 9-point lead. Still early, about 8 minutes to go in the first half, but the Magic out 2. They've led by double digits for a good portion of this, and there's another 3, so they're up an even dozen right now with Milwaukee not looking good. They're not playing well, which this got a long way to go.
It does, but
they're off to a slow start.
We don't know what to expect in this playoff format. You're not at your home court. Yeah, you've got a couple of bucks there on the court. That means nothing. There's no fans. There's no advantage to playing in Milwaukee. You're in Orlando. I guess, heck, the Magic are in Orlando, but even that doesn't mean anything. Right. So we don't really know what to expect from these playoffs.
Playboy Marty, who will bet on 2 crickets hopping across the lawn, says no action on game 1s. This is a guy who works on a show that they do nothing but action. He said no action on game 1s. Explain yourself, Playboy Marty.
I got the Magic plus 13.5. So
yeah, you're looking good so far. Why no action on game 1s?
I just don't like doing it. I feel like game 1s are the most are the least predictable games like ever, and I'm just way more of a fan of swing games. Games 3 and 5 when they're tied. The better team usually overperforms.
There's a little bit of truth to what he's saying with certain teams for sure. Toronto has played 20 game 1s in their history, and has lost 15 of them, and they were the favorite in 12 of those. So there's certainly something to what he said, and they won a lot of those series where they lost game 1.
The most memorable game 1 to me was Allen Iverson basically beating the Lakers by himself, and then they lost the next 4 games.
2001 or was it 2000? 2001.
I don't know. Ty Lue got so disrespected that it hasn't gone away, and it's 20 years later.
Well, I mean, that was Shaquille's best year. That was the year he won the MVP, I believe, and Kobe was in his prime.
Yeah.
He was entering his prime.
Sure, Big Shot Bob was there somewhere.
Of course.
Good.
if there was a championship team in the late 90s, early 2000s, Robert Horry was probably on it. All right, Hunt, what did you think about the schedule?
I love the schedule.
I'll bet you do.
I love the schedule. They laid it out beautifully for LSU. You're a little bit new here to this deal, Charlie, so you'll catch on to this. I'm remarkably petty and borderline obsessed with Texas A&M's failure as a football program, and I need them to start 1-2, and it's very possible because they've got Alabama and Florida right after Vanderbilt, right out of the chute, and if they can go 1-2, their season is over in terms of championship aspirations of any kind, and I need that fan base to turn on Jimbo Fisher and to think he's a failure, and that's my goal.
Of all of the games that were added, wasn't Florida at Texas A&M the most intriguing of the added 2 games?
Of course, it's not even close because I mean they gave all the other Golden Geese just layups, and it's been one of those deals where A&M, and Hester's been ticked off about this more than anybody that I've talked to on the air, that A&M has been pointing to this football season for 2 years and essentially has written off every loss they've had for 2 years, saying just wait till we get to 2020. That's really all they've cared about as a fan base. Certainly not the players and the coaches, but as a fan base, they've all pointed to it. And if I can get them to 1-2 out of the gate with losses to Alabama and Florida, now all of a sudden, I don't know what they point to.
We got Jimmy coming on the next hour. I'm curious what that line is right now. Florida on the road.
I saw some very interesting lines that some people were tweeting out, and these are just LSU, but I saw somebody had LSU as a 1-point favorite against Alabama at home and a 4-point dog at A&M.
At A&M?
Mm-hmm.
Sign me up.
I don't know if I'd.
And how much home field advantage? How much home field advantage matters if there's nobody there?
Well, the SEC did release some guidelines, which largely left it up to the schools. They're still going to try. Do you get asked about tailgating as much as I do? I get asked about tailgating almost as much as I get asked about are they going to play football.
I get asked about media credentials and tailgating.
Media credentials.
Yeah, like everybody we see like who does what we do, or they want to know, well, what's the press box going to look like? Who's going to get a credential into that game? Because how are we going to cover the games, like going down to the locker rooms and things that we've all become?
Oh, you're not going to
go to the locker room.
No, right. But I'm saying, like, how are they going to, like, is Coach O just going to get up there? Is it going to be
Zoom? Yeah.
And you're going to be in the press box, though, you would assume.
Well, you could Zoom from anywhere,
right? You could, but you've covered games long enough. I mean, there's something to being in the building and seeing the action.
Oh, there definitely is. I mean,
There's a reason you go to the game.
We've been making do with what's available to us for a while now. It's going to be a different way to cover the game. We're not going to have the press luncheons are going to be virtual. The player interviews are going to be virtual. You may not come face to face with a player all season if you're in the media. Right. I mean, your odds are probably not good that you're going to see one. I would think that Florida would be at A&M a very small favorite. That's just my guess. A 2.5 point favorite at A&M. That's just a guess, though. Might be a pick. We get Jimmy's thoughts.
Let's see. Projected line A&M 2.5 against Florida.
Oh, see, I'm on the wrong side.
Yeah,
I would take Florida and points in that thing. I mean, I don't know how you feel. I think that Florida.
I take Florida.
I think Florida's better.
Well, the 4 players sitting out. Well, that matters. I mean, you got your 3 top receivers and a defensive end that haven't practiced, and they're kind of in a holding pattern right now. They're deciding if they're going to opt out or not. Well, that changes the line.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll change the line. It might change my opinion on the game.
It'll change the line. Your top 3 receivers. That'd be like, now not talent wise, but that you're talking about Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Racey McMath were out for LSU. That would change the line.
If it's not quarterbacks, it usually doesn't.
3?
I know what you're saying, but now it may change the action on the game.
Yeah.
But will it change the opening line? I don't know. It would certainly change my opinion of the game, though. Today's show is brought to you in part by Supreme Rice, a perfect complement for every meal. Make it Supreme Rice. We support Louisiana farmers around here. Out of Crawley, Louisiana, Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed right here in South Louisiana. You know, if you're going to make any of your favorite dishes, maybe it's an etouffee, maybe it's red beans or white beans, maybe it's a gumbo when it gets a little bit colder, use Supreme Rice. You can try the jasmine, you can try the brown, you can try the long grain. Depends on what recipe as to which one might be your favorite. And it's easy to get Supreme Rice at your Costco's, at your Walmarts, at your AG food dealers all around Baton Rouge and South Louisiana and into New Orleans. Supreme Rice, a perfect complement for any meal. Go to supremerice.com for more information and for great recipes, and also a great way to stretch your food dollar with our friends over at Supreme Rice. First class, second class, no class when we return. Orlando now 14 points up on Milwaukee halfway through the second quarter. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a new Highlander for $4,000 off MSRP. Yes, $4,000 off MSRP, and we have many in stock. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Hi, this is Chance Inman, President and Chief Operating Officer for Janney King Gulf Coast. Here are some ways to protect yourself and those around you from the coronavirus. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover coughs and sneezes with your elbow. Disinfect high-touch surfaces regularly. Use non-contact methods for greeting others. And avoid touching your face. Following these steps, as well as social distancing, should help all of us stay healthy.
Janney King, the king of clean.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The full SEC schedule has been released. We will dissect it all on Tuesday's AFR. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class is brought to you by Relief Telemed for businesses that have frequent interactions with the public, restaurants, retail stores, service-based businesses, businesses that can't afford to shut down and send home employees. Relief's COVID mitigation platform takes the hassle, chaos, and stress out of having your employees tested for COVID. The process starts with a video visit with a physician and ends with a custom action plan for every employee. And through a dashboard, you know exactly when your employees can come back to work.
They offer on-site and off-site testing options. Have the option to get COVID results in as little as 24 hours. Relief is the market leader for rapid response COVID testing. Be on site within 24 hours and have your business operational in 48. That is the key component there. You can find out online, relieftelemed.com/stopthespread. Also call the direct line, 225-244-6093. I tell you all the time, they got our walk-ons up in Shreveport up and running. No missed time there.
All right, first class. I wanted to give this to Donovan Mitchell all by himself because if you watch that game, we had it on in here during the show, and it went to overtime just as we were getting off the air. The third most points in NBA playoff history with 57 in yesterday's game that ended up being a Jazz loss to the Nuggets by 10. And I would have given it to him by himself, except he got an 8-second call in the overtime, man. They were up 4. He gets an 8-second call in the backcourt. Denver hits a 3, turned the whole overtime around, and Denver ends up winning the game by 10. It's a fantastic game. So I end up giving it to the entire first day. I've been watching the NBA reset sort of after the Pelicans lost to the Spurs. The rest of the games didn't really mean all that much to me. Sorry, Playboy Morty. I wasn't really watching the Suns all that much.
Hey, your team made it to the bubble.
Right. But that was real basketball yesterday. I mean, the Jazz-Nuggets game was fantastic. The Raptors looked like they were going to run away, and the Nets put a run on. Celtics-Sixers was competitive all the way through. And even Clippers-Mavericks was competitive right to the point where they threw Kristaps Porzingis out of the game.
Yeah.
But, it's his second technical. I mean, I thought it was a cheap technical, but it was his second one. And we got a good game going right now because Orlando, a 13-point underdog, is leading by 13 with 4 minutes to go in the first half. So my first class goes to the start of the NBA playoffs. Meaningful basketball. I feel like these are the first meaningful games that I've seen.
My first class is going to go to the golf course last week at U.S. Amateur.
Shocker.
In the round of 16, Tyler Stafacci is playing Segundo Olivia Pinto, and they get to the final hole at the U.S. Amateur. And Segundo Olivia Pinto, who's an Argentine who plays at Arkansas now, was using a local caddy at Bandon Dunes. And they've played about a dozen USGA events at Bandon Dunes, and more than 80% of them have been won by players who use a local caddy. Bandon Dunes is a remote golf destination. It's become very, very popular, but it's a pretty new place, and the local caddies have given their players a bit of an advantage. So he's using a local caddy. They get to the final hole of their match in the round of 16 for a tournament that could, if you win it, put you in the U.S. Open next year, the British Open next year, the Masters next year, if you win this tournament. And his caddy gets down in the greenside bunker and tests the sand with his hand and then denies having done it. They have a big discussion. A rules official comes over. The two caddies kind of have a back and forth, and it's ruled that that's a one-hole penalty on the last hole of a tied match in the round of 16. And Olivia Pinto loses the match simply because his caddy got down and touched the sand. The first class goes to Olivia Pinto for me because of the way he handled it. This is not his caddy that he's going to use in his professional golf that he needs a relationship with. He could have ripped this guy every which way because he's never going to see him again. But he came out and said, look, the guy made a mistake. If I can forgive him, I think all you people back home in your couches can forgive him as well. And he's just kind of moving on with his life. And I think that that's remarkable because he has every reason to absolutely throw a fit that this guy made a ridiculous mistake, and he handled it perfectly. So for me, to handle yourself that well in that situation with that big of stakes, first class for me for Olivia Pinto.
You'd have started beating him with the sand wedge, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm kind of wired a little bit more like Olivia Pinto, but that's not a great look, especially the fact that Stafacci, who was playing, won the U.S. Amateur. He went on to win 3 more matches and he played him to the last hole. So that's not great.
I don't want to tell you what I would have done to the caddy, but I'm glad that he did not react the way I would have. All right, my first class goes to Louisiana Tech football.
Whoa,
so Louisiana Tech football, and this is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
They scheduled ULM finally because that is a game for over 20 years that should have been played. They're right down the street from each other, and they finally did it, right? That's going to be an independent stadium in the Port City 31831. Great. Good. Love that. Also, they took Baylor on. September the 12th, Louisiana Tech and Baylor are going to play in Waco. And Louisiana Tech, I realize you could say, well, everybody's looking for games. Yes, they are, but they took on a Big 12 opponent. They're going to go to their place. And Louisiana Tech's a football team that's got some pride. And, the last 10, 15 years, they've been a good football program. They've been a good team. And longer than that. I mean, when they were in, 1AA. But this is big. They're going to go ahead. They're going to take this game against Baylor on very short notice. I mean, September the 12th, and you're just taking on a Big 12 opponent. So Louisiana Tech, I've given you a very hard time in the past because of things you've done on your schedule. So I have to give you credit when you do those things and you take some of those games and you play ULM. So first class, Louisiana Tech football program and their AD.
Announced earlier today, by the way, La Tech going to Baylor, going to Waco to play in the season opener. I think if we had a discussion on who the best basketball player in the world was right now, we could have a pretty spirited discussion. Maybe it's Giannis, maybe it's LeBron James, maybe it's James Harden, maybe it's Kawhi Leonard. I don't know if there's a consensus right now on who the best basketball player in the world overall is over the course of the season. But I know who the best player was in the bubble, Damian Lillard. And I wanted Portland to get into the playoffs, the real playoffs, not just a play-in game, for just this reason. Because if you got the guy that's playing the best basketball in the world right now against the team that is one of the co-favorites to win it all, this makes for compelling watching. It's good with a chance to be great. The matchup is good. It's the matchup I wanted. Are we going to get a great series? We start finding out tonight. Damian Lillard and the Blazers against the Lakers, game 1 tonight. That's my good with a second class, good with a chance to be great.
I'm going to go just down the road for my good with a chance to be great. We saw that Kerry Vincent opted out this week and is not going to play for LSU this season. And that means Cordell Flott is going to be put into a tough spot.
Flott in the slot.
Because all of a
Make the shirts,
sudden,
print them up.
I don't think a lot of teams are going to be throwing at Derek Stingley all that often. And so whoever's across the field from him is going to be a busy man. And Cordell Flott had a really nice freshman year last year when he wasn't asked to do a ton. He's going to be asked to be a huge part of the defense this year, and he was very good. He's got a chance to be great. Cordell Flott, my second class.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to go Corey and Kyle Seager, first pair of brothers on opposing MLB teams to homer in the same game since 2001. Kyle playing for the Mariners, Corey for the Dodgers. That's got to be a great feeling. I mean, you and your brother, you both hit home runs in the same game against each other on opposing teams. Now, I was trying to find out who the 2001 duo was. Would it be probably the Boone brothers?
The Boone brothers.
That's what I'm thinking.
First came to my mind.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Aaron and Brett
J.D.
Boone
Drew
probably.
and Steven Drew would have been after that.
Steven was a pitcher, or Tim was a pitcher. Tim Drew was a pitcher.
Steven
Drew was a shortstop,
yeah.
and J.D. Drew was an outfielder. So, God, how do you have that many kids in the?
That's impressive.
Back in the day, the Alou brothers.
Yeah,
would have been my other guy. But if you said 2001, that was only Moises was still playing.
All right, so that's the challenge to the huddle. Find out who that was in 2001. I'm putting my money on the Boones. Boones?
Yeah.
Gotta be. Well, it doesn't gotta be, but I mean, there's a million Molinas. There were three playing at one time.
Three brothers playing at one time.
Brett Boone had the biggest forearms I've ever seen in my life. Now he wasn't. I mean, he was short, wasn't a big guy, but his forearms were gigantic.
Saw him at Alec Box Stadium. The guy had a career in a weekend. I mean, he's just a monster.
So that's got to be pretty cool. And as someone who has four sons, I can't imagine what their parents were going through watching them. And obviously, both those are all-star caliber players. But to see them homer in the same game, pretty cool.
We have discussions a lot of times about the unwritten rules of baseball. And
I figured this might come up.
Some of them are legit. Some of them are ridiculous. Okay, but last night in a game between the Rangers and the Padres were up 10-4 in the eighth inning, and the bases were loaded. And Fernando Tatis Jr. was at the plate, and there was a 3-0 pitch, and he had the audacity to swing at it. Are you kidding me? You got a problem with that? And then very next batter, what do the Rangers do? They throw behind the guy. This drives me bananas. Now, to the pitcher's credit, he threw it low behind him. He didn't throw behind his head. If he'd thrown it behind his head, I would have really lost my mind. Of all of the unwritten rules in baseball, being able to swing the bat should not be one of them, okay? I don't care what the score is. Oakland came from behind 5 runs in the ninth inning the other day. It's the first time they've done that in 40 years, okay? There's no clock. You're allowed to swing the bat. I would have had more problem with Tatis if he'd have bunted, okay? If they'd have run the squeeze play,
yeah.
All right? Okay, that's a little bit out there. But your big problem in life is that a player swung the bat with the bases loaded on a 3-0 count. Get over yourself. This is one of the dumbest unwritten rules in baseball. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. This one, no, I'm sorry. Throw him a strike, okay? Make a better pitch. You got to be allowed to swing the bat. No class to the unwritten rule that you can't swing the bat with the bases loaded and up 7.
I was going to use that last night and then realized when I got to Twitter today, it's 99.8% are in your camp and 0.2% are in the other camp where you can't. It's basically just the managers. And it was a bummer that Tatis Jr. actually apologized after the game. He's like, I didn't really know. Whatever. But I think everybody realizes that's a stupid idea. My no class, I could do this one every single week. And honestly, I'd probably like to do it every week because this is how vehemently opposed to it I am. And it really happens in two sports routinely. And I'm going to get to both of them in this. And I'm never going to change my opinion on it, ever. But we'll start with the less egregious one. In a game this past week, the Nationals were playing, and an umpire made a terrible call. And Steven Strasburg, from his literal seat in the bleachers with a mask on, said that's blanking bogus or terrible or something. And the guy threw him out. He stopped the game and threw a pitcher in street clothes out of the game who was sitting up in section 146. Because I didn't really like that you said that. Never mind the fact that I'm terrible at my job. I didn't like that you said that, so you need to leave. That makes a ton of sense. And then far more egregious, which you just mentioned, is the first technical that Kristaps Porzingis got yesterday. They go to the rim. A lot of people were saying it was clearly a clean block. There was some body contact. I would probably like to see the foul called there. But then Porzingis comes down, just yells, and he gets a technical foul. Under no circumstance can you give a technical foul there.
In a playoff game.
It's just unbelievable. It's one of the best players in the world. In a playoff series, your job as the official is to have the lowest heart rate on the floor at all times. These guys are fighting for their livelihood. They're fighting for championships. You're out there to call the game. I don't need your emotions getting wrapped up in it. Oh, yeah, I didn't like that you yelled at my partner there for that terrible call. Technical, 2 points for this team. Oh, and now we've got a situation where Porzingis goes in to help his teammate out in the most minor altercation ever to just kind of step up for his teammate. We have to call a double technical because we've got a third player involved. And now all of a sudden, because the ref got his feelings hurt 25 minutes ago, we don't have one of the best players on the court. Absolutely unacceptable. You give technical fouls if someone hurts someone else, physically does something to somebody else, or simply a coach won't come off the floor. I can't get you off the floor. I have to give you a technical foul. Your feelings getting hurt doesn't count. No class.
All right, so my no class was going to be, and I felt like I had a stake in it because I spent so much time in San Diego, but Hanny stole it from me.
Taking all the San Diego takes.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's on the paper there. Fernando Tatis Jr., but I'm just going to
learned how to do this segment with Jimmy.
You go first. I don't like that. I'm going last here. So I'm just going to piggyback. I'm not going to change it because I agree with everything that you said. This is a young baseball player, and who a lot of people consider the most exciting young baseball player in all of the major leagues, right?
Yeah.
It was him and Ronald Acuna Jr. kind of coming in to the year, and he has taken off this year. The Padres are a team that has stunk for a very long time. The Padres got Petco Park built in downtown San Diego because they had a run of NL West titles, and then right after that, like as soon as that ballpark was built, they started to suck. They were a bad baseball team. Trust me, I tried a lot of times to go support the Padres, and every time, it didn't matter who they were playing, the other team was going to have more fans, kind of like Chargers. But it's neither here nor there. And they finally got something. First off, they brought the glorious brown uniforms back. Thank goodness.
Pinstripes look sweet.
They look really good.
Those uniforms look terrible. They look awful. They're brown.
The Cubs blue with the C in the Cub is the worst uniform in baseball. It's atrocious. It's terrible.
Excellent.
Anyways, no class to that uniform. But they finally got something, Hanny. And this young star, if he wants to continue that momentum by swinging a 3-0 pitch when you're up, hey, don't get down. Jack A's, don't get down so much, right? If you don't want him to hit another grand slam, well, then be better. And I know that Chris Woodward's a former big leaguer, so he's going to, have the unwritten rules, which there's some of those that I agree with, some that I think they take too far. So don't throw it dead red on 3-0 count to one of the best players in baseball because he's going to hit it over the fence every single time. And by God, let the Padres actually have a pulse because they have a little one. They don't have a big one because they're not doing exactly what we thought they would do. They're still a little bit, they're at 500, a little bit under. They keep going back and forth. But let the Padres be decent. My God.
Put Juan Soto in that conversation with the best young players in baseball, too. Just don't forget him.
He plays for the Nationals. I don't know who you're talking about.
We'll take a
break.
break.
Don't know who you're talking about.
Back on the other side, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Thinking about making some property improvements, and it is going to involve you picking up a shovel. It needs to involve you picking up a phone first and calling 811 because here in Louisiana, there's so many lines that are buried right shallow underneath the surface. So if you're going to dig, you got to call 811. It's simple to do. Give the operator your address, and within 2 days, somebody will come out and mark the locations of all of your buried lines. They'll even color code it for you. That way, if you're putting in that pool or that landscaping, you won't hit it and be that guy that causes problems for yourself and all of your neighbors.
Obviously, your safety is the biggest concern, but also don't be that guy that knocks out the power for the entire neighborhood. You don't want to be that guy that has your neighbor who has 4 sons that can't play their Xbox or watch your TV, so comes to your house and he's mad at you. Don't be that guy. Make sure you have safety first. Call 811 before you dig. It's a free service. They're going to come out, do it 2 days before you have a project coming up. They're going to mark it. It's incredibly easy. It's incredibly easy to tell where the lines are as well. So you're going to see it. You're going to know exactly where you can dig. Take full advantage. 811 before you dig.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Join us for a Tuesday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. The guys are live from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street to recap the SEC football schedule release and more. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Magic go to the break up 10, 62-52 in game one of the quadruple header. Hunt, what's for lunch?
Hungry Howie's. Actually already ate lunch, but I am having Hungry Howie's for dinner tonight. That's already locked up. Got to pick up something from them. So we're going with Hungry Howie's for dinner tonight. You can have Hungry Howie's for dinner tonight. You can get 3 medium, 1-topping pizzas for $5 a pizza, $15. You can get a large 2-topping for $7.99 if you carry it out. Best deals in the pizza game right now. Let's talk about the Howie bread. Stuffed Howie bread is just delicious. You can get it stuffed with pepperoni, get it stuffed with bacon. You want a little spice in your life, they can do a jalapeno stuffed Howie bread. They can do a Cajun stuffed Howie bread with delicious Tony Chachere's. Or if you like to do your Howie bread after dinner, you can do the cinnamon Howie bread for dessert. Got a lot of great things outside of just pizza at Hungry Howie's. Download the Hungry Howie's app. You can collect points to win free pizza. You can find them at their store location, Nicholson, just south of the campus at Lee. And, of course, as we always tell you, hungryhowies.com. Hungry Howie's, bringing you Hanging with Hester and Hanny and Hunt Tuesday and Thursdays.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your support of Tiger Athletics.
By the way, we've been seeing pictures of Joe Burrow in full pads now in his Bengals uniform. Can I say that it just actually looks right? And, he stayed in the Tiger family. Looks like he put on a little muscle there as well. So
working out in the parents' basement?
Yeah, the basement workouts. And they asked him today if he was feeling nervous about starting week 1. His answer, he said he laughed, said, absolutely not. Have you ever heard anything else about me being nervous? And I don't think so.
Were they one of the ones that tweaked the uniform? Seemed like a lot of teams tweaked the uniform this offseason because they I saw that.
Wish they would. Yeah.
Wish
they go back to the older Bengals. I love the helmet. Love the helmet, but I wish they would go back to the old Bengals.
they were always orange and black.
Just
the Carson Palmer era. They went to a little more modern look.
They got like a shadow number. Yeah,
he's looking boomer size. Was he there?
Yeah. Icky Woods. Yeah, Bo Harris maybe.
It's back when the Bengals were good. It's been a while.
They're about to get good. That's my team. Who day, baby?
The Bengals.
It's my squad.
You have more Bengal fans in Baton Rouge than ever before.
That's a fact.
And probably Chiefs too, with Clyde and Honey Badger there now.
Yep.
They've had a long. I mean, Dwayne Bowe, Rudy Niswanger was there.
If the Hester household can have Chiefs fans, you know they're going to be.
Oh boy, tell me about it.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to talk first week and point spreads. Now the SEC schedule is out. Jimmy Ott will join us when we return. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Citizens Bank is proud to bring you the Fan of the Week. But during these times with no fans, Citizens Bank is switching its support to the Banking on BR campaign to raise money for the Baton Rouge Food Bank. You can help out by visiting brfoodbank.org or bankingonbr.com.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Here at the Big Squeezy, we continue to serve the Baton Rouge and Southeast Louisiana areas during these troubling times. We are dedicated to providing you healthy food items to help you live your best life. From our cold-pressed juices to our delicious smoothies, let the Big Squeezy keep you going. Stay active, stay happy, and let us help you stay healthy. Visit us at our locations and also inside of Alexander's and Mathern's grocery stores or online at thebigsqueezy.com.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anison Bitter. Anison Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The Celtics are expected to be without forward Gordon Hayward for about 4 weeks because of a sprained ankle. In Game 1 today, the East top-seeded Bucks find themselves trailing the Magic 62-52 at the half. The Lakers' quest for a 17th NBA title starts tonight when they take on the Blazers. LA could get off to a slow start in the series against a red-hot Portland team, but still advance to round 2, believes ESPN's Tim Legler.
It's the best of 7. And therefore, the better team's going to win, and that is the Lakers, and they've got the best leader. And I think ultimately the size and the force of LeBron James and Anthony Davis is going to be a little bit too much for the Portland Trail Blazers to handle, even if they do get off to a great start.
Injured Rockets guard Russell Westbrook won't play in tonight's opener versus the Thunder. 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Coach Mike D'Antoni said that Eric Gordon will start in place of Westbrook. From ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Jazz point guard Mike Conley has returned to the bubble following the birth of his son. There is optimism that he could clear his quarantine and play in Game 3 on Friday against the Nuggets.
Straight Talk Wireless has the full court cell phone coverage you need. Just $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for up to 50% less than the big carriers. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 3, whether you're with us here in Baton Rouge on 104.5, on 1130 The Tiger, on CST, or watching us on YouTube, 104.5 is a page. Please go and subscribe. Hour number 3, we start with my old partner, Jimmy Ott. Jimmy Ott's game time tonight from Doe's at 6 o'clock, and I know he's excited because we got actual matchups and the entire SEC schedule. Lillotta, how you doing?
Man, you go with the old car right out the chute after I get a head shave at Roosters today. Thank you, Hanny. Appreciate that, man. You know?
No problem, man. No problem. All right, we got week 1 matchups, and I would say we got a lot of mismatches because we got some monster lines. I mean, really monster lines. I took a crack at this yesterday, and I undershot on a lot of these things. Tennessee and South Carolina will be close, but everything else looks like it's a big mismatch in week 1.
Yeah, double digit favorites at least. You know, it's funny. The Auburn Kentucky line has not been released just yet. And keep in mind, Hanny, Vegas has not put out lines on the SEC games just yet. Some sportsbook managers have spoken publicly and said next day or two. They are trying to lick their wounds from Bloody Monday yesterday. NHL, NBA, MLB favorites combined yesterday to go 20-1 against the spread. Yes, multiple sportsbook managers have said this is the worst day. That this is their worst day yesterday in 2020. So, you know, I mean, 20-1.
2020 will get you, man. 2020 has been a bear for everybody.
Yeah, and a little extra excitement with the opening of the NBA postseason. You know, playing for real. We always talk about how much more exciting the postseason is than the regular season, especially with all of these teams. So many teams had their seating set. So that's the first thing. They've got some other things to worry about, and they have adjusted the line big time. I mean, they jacked this one that's going on right now up 3.5 points from 10 to 13.5. So that's the first thing. These are kind of different sites, and you know my projections. And you know the thing is, the projections. Some of the lines that were released on the college football games of the year in June. It kind of, let's just say 4 is the home field value. You know, 8-point swing, 8 to 10 point swing. Well, if you go back and forth, but we'll say 4 is pretty much what they start with to begin. They kind of shaved that down 1.5 points because of the question mark on the crowd. I think this deep into the game, where nobody else has crowds at their athletic events or sporting events, they think that little to no crowds will be at the SEC games, and they've shaved them another 1.5 points. For instance, when it was released over the summer, LSU was 20.5 over Mississippi State. It's now 18.5, and it's kind of, and I'm in agreement with Vegas how they're doing this. So, reduce it. You still might have 1.5, something like that, but it's been reduced maybe 2.5, 3 points because little to no crowds are expected, and also because it's the first game of the season. Offenses are behind. We see these point spreads tempered a little bit early on in the season. So that's the big one. Yes, all the big favorites, including I thought Florida might be just under double digits, but it looks like it's 10, 10.5 at a lot of places. I thought it would be 9. And then, Georgia, 24 against Arkansas. Bama, just over 3 touchdowns. I had them just under 3 touchdowns against Missouri. A&M, this is the big disparity. Vandy, we know about it. Then they get hit hard with 2 additional teams. They don't get their cupcakes. They get banged around as much. They seem to have the most projected opt-outs for the season as well. We know how their athletic department operates. 28.5. I had it at 24. I've seen some projection as high as 36, 37. Not on an opening week. I don't see that. But that's the one I missed on the most. I had 24. I'm seeing 28.5.
Otter, one of the ones I've seen that surprised me the most is A&M 2.5 against Florida. I know that game is at home, but you just mentioned it, not going to have the crowd really play a factor like it normally would. I think Florida is the better football team here. Are you surprised A&M favorites at home?
I think it's going to be, and this was, again, this is one of the added games, so we don't even have a projected line of college football games of the year. I think that's going to be shaved down again because, Jacob, when lines are 2 or less, I consider them a pick, either side. And that's what I think this is going to be. Don't be surprised if it comes out a pick, 1, either way, something like that. So, when it's under that hot number of 3, I think it's going to be a little less than 2.5. I would say maybe A&M 1.
Jimmy, how are the sports books handling the opt-outs? We were talking with Chris Doering earlier. Florida's top 3 wide receivers are still on the fence about whether or not they're going to play. This isn't 1 or 2 injuries to non-quarterbacks. We're talking about, potentially a number of players. How are they handling setting odds when they don't know if they're going to have additional opt-outs?
Charlie, we've been doing this for years. Vegas has been doing this for years. It's an injury report. Guys that aren't available, it's an injury report. And, we talked about it forever. Do certain guys move the line? No. That a casual gambler that goes into Las Vegas sportsbook, they're not looking at that. They're looking at the brand of Florida. They're looking at 20 of 21 favorites yesterday, okay? Yeah. I mean, it's just, this is where if you do your homework, you may have a little bit more of an edge because we understand the impact. I'll go to my favorite Friday ever. I'm doing the show, and Ryan Perrill gets kicked off the team, and he's going to be a kid from Harvard. How does it affect the win total? How does it affect the point spread? Not all. What? Well, we know here that was a big difference. But, especially the college. Let me go one of yesterday. Michael Conley Jr., he's out. The line jumped 2 points. His player value was a half a point. A half a point. Now, the Jazz should have covered. We know about that. It goes to overtime. But sometimes the public can overreact, but they tend to overreact more to the pro sports athletes than the college ones. Most of those guys, 90% of those guys, don't even know who those players are at Florida.
Jimmy, I want to ask you a futures question about winning the SEC, the 2 additional games, and now that we have the full schedule release, which team do you think odds actually went down because of those 2 additional games and where they play each SEC opponent?
Well, Florida, for 2 reasons. First of all, their home field advantage is going to be lessened. That every year either Florida or Georgia plays only 3 road games. Road games in the SEC, that's tough. And it was Vandy, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. They're favored by 7 over Tennessee and more than that in the other ones. That was it on the road for them, Jacob. I love them. Mullen in his 3rd year, he's won 10 games the first 2 years. He at least has some stability in the program. I loved Florida before all of this. But you neutralize that home field advantage. You tack on a trip to A&M. Should have got tacked on a game with Alabama, but the SEC doesn't care. They've made it very clear there's a big grown-up stable and, the Vandies of the world in this league. So, but it's that's the one. the home field advantage was the big. That's your only road games. Now they still are going to be a better team, but I thought their schedule was beautiful coming into this year, and I think that hurts. And Texas A&M, because they have to play Florida. I mean, LSU increases. There's no doubt. Also, the SEC has protected their top 13 teams in that preseason poll. That's 6 teams, 4 from the West and 2 from the East, and nobody else is preseason ranked in the poll. And none of them play each other in week 1, and only it is at Auburn A&M in the back end of the season have to play back to back. Keep in mind when LSU was an advantage last year, where they played A&M right after they went to Athens and Baton Rouge. LSU was supposed to go to Auburn and go to A&M. That's flip-flop now, because A&M will go to Auburn and then host LSU on back-to-back weeks to close the season. So they took care of the top 6, then the top 4 with the scheduling and the add-ons. I don't think there's any doubt. And Florida's off my list now, as I just thought they were at 8-1. They're real value and just aren't going to get much more of an advantageous schedule than what they had.
Jimmy, opening lines when LSU gets them for the top 4 games on the schedule.
It is. We like to use that term 50-50 a lot, huh?
Yeah.
How about these? Pretty much all pick'em games. The Florida line opened up pick. It was, back in June, it was bet up to 2.5. Actually, LSU was a slight favorite. It was bet to Florida 2.5. It's not going to be much of a crowd, if any at all. I think that's going to settle in at 1.5, Florida over LSU. Bama's a 2.5-point favorite over LSU. That's the one that has a chance to get to 3. That's the only one. LSU, Auburn, LSU, A&M, both right at pick, maybe a point in LSU's favor. But that's the 4 games. They're heavily favored in all the rest. But those 4 games, it makes for a great season. I mean, flip of the coin type of games, at least for the odds makers consider entering the season.
I think Joker should have taken that open 15-footer with 4 seconds to go yesterday.
What's that?
Do you think Joker should have taken that open 15-footer at the end of regulation? I couldn't believe he passed up that shot. He hit a wide open 15-footer. It's like, man, you can make that and the game's over. But
Donovan Mitchell reminded me, and I heard you guys talking earlier, I think the 4th largest point production, point game in the playoff history. But, it reminded me early Jordan days, and good thing the rules aren't the same. He'd have landed on the floor a few times because he just attacks the rim fearlessly, and you just don't get knocked to the floor anymore. But my goodness, that's going to be tough for them to not get a win out of that performance yesterday. He was unbelievable.
Jimmy, it's game time. We'll be from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street tonight, starting at 6 o'clock. We'll send you Playboy Marty. He's been licking his wounds all week with the Phoenix Suns, man.
Even Playboy Marty has standards. Does not, absolutely refuses to bet on game 1 in the first round of the playoffs. And how about that too? Last year, Hanny, the first game 1, the 8 game 1s in the first round, all went under. 8-0 yesterday. They split out, but the odds makers they kind of kicked them down a little bit. But today, after 20-1 favorites, they're going up.
All right, Jimmy, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Orlando still holding a lead, but it's down to 4, and we are approaching the 7.5-minute mark of the third quarter. Game number 1 of 4 today in the NBA. Take a break. We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
All right, also brought to you by Baton Rouge Foundation Repair. Baton Rouge Foundation Repair offers services to correct the settlement of both slab foundations and pier and beam foundations, as well can level your above-ground wood frame house. Now, go to the website, brfoundation.com. There you can check out warranties they have for your slab foundations and your pier and beam foundations. You can find a full list of services right there on the website. You can check out before and after pictures as well. Don't forget, quotes are always free. You can do it at brfoundation.com. You can always email them as well on the site. 225-275-0101 is the number. Some of the things that contribute to those foundation problems: plumbing leaks, evaporation, poor soil conditions, poor drainage, poor foundation construction. True, it's all of those things can contribute to that poor foundation. Well, don't be asked to pay twice for your foundation repair work. Get Baton Rouge Foundation Repairs water shield pilings. Again, estimates always free. One more time, that number, 225-275-0101. That website, brfoundation.com.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Prompt, professional, reliable. If you're looking for a breath of fresh air with your AC and heating needs, call the professionals at Anderson Bitter. Anderson Bitter, a Rheem Pro partner, keeping your family comfortable for over 25 years.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is big. Really big. I mean really, really, really big. Because Honda's summer clearance event is going on right now at Richards Honda. With 0 to the 4th power on brand new Honda Civics. That's 0 down, 0 due at signing, 0 security deposit, and 0 first month payment. Plus, summer clearance on every new vehicle in stock. Just another reason why people call Richards Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Coming up on Wednesdays Off the Bench, the latest from the maelstrom that is college football news. Plus, hear from Mike Triplett as the Saints return to the practice field, break down the latest footage from LSU fall camp, and a new Would You Rather Wednesday. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Coach O talking earlier today says he's 1,000% confident that football will be played this fall. He's always been very confident, very optimistic.
Yeah, the quote was 1,000% confident. Yes, that's my mindset. I'm convinced that we're going to play. I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not a doctor. It's not my decision, but I think it's right. And we've said it for a long time, Hanny. He's been the voice of college football. When a lot of coaches were not speaking up, he has been out, since the spring saying, hey, I want to play college football. We're going to do things the right way to make sure we play college football. He did his PSAs for the state, right when everything first hit.
Yeah.
I think Coach O was out in front of it. So I'm sure he is confident because he knows that his team, has done the right things. And when they've messed up, when they hadn't done things the right way, he has corrected it fast.
I think a lot of the big names are now, just in the last week and a half, have really gotten vocal about this, whether it be Trevor Lawrence about we want to play, Justin Fields, I'm going to circulate a petition. Now we got all of the Big Ten coaches came out and had their say, not that it did any good. And then today, Nick Saban saying that he thinks that the opt-outs would turn spring football into JV. Now, these are some of the things that we've been talking about, all of the opt-outs and the player safety with, trying to play 2 seasons in 1 calendar year and all those things. But when the big names come out, when Orgeron says, hey, look, I'm 1,000% confident we're playing, and Nick Saban says, hey, you know what, spring football, that's a bad idea, okay? We listen a little bit more when those guys are talking.
They built up the clout. I mean, you're talking about championship coaches, and you're going to have more clout. And they also realize their program would be effective because they have most of the NFL draft. LSU and Alabama always have the top talent right in the NFL, so they realize what that would do to their program. And so you're talking about, hey, my program's going to take this huge knock if we try to play, and that's the case for probably most of the SEC. And they realize what that would look like. And Coach Saban's exactly right. It would be a JV roster for some of your biggest programs. And that's not what you want to have.
We haven't even gotten to the eligibility issues yet, because what happens if this holds and they end up not playing a season? You're just going to charge everybody in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 with a year's worth of eligibility? And if you don't, what are you going to do with the recruiting classes that are coming? They haven't even gotten to that yet.
And baseball's got an easier way to do it because you're not talking about full scholarships, and you're not talking about the expense that a football scholarship takes on. And so if you add a signing class of 25 and say you retain whatever the number is, I mean 15, say 15, you got 15 seniors, right? And you retain all of those scholarships. It's a lot of money. It's a big sum of money for all of these schools and these conferences. And so that's for sure going to be something. Now, if you have, some schools might not have that many seniors, right? Some might only have 5, but that's 5 additional scholarships adding to the 25 that you're adding.
I'll give you another reason. If you don't want to go back and play college baseball, if you found yourself found yourself at a spot where you needed to move, there are places you can go play baseball. You could have signed a small deal to go play minor league baseball in a lot of places. You could have gone somewhere different. You could have gone to possibly play overseas. There ain't anywhere else to go play American football. You're not playing college football, and you can't play in the NFL.
CFL canceled too.
CFL's canceled. Yeah. You have no recourse. There's nowhere for you to go. If they cancel basketball season, okay, and we're going to get to that point next. Yeah. If they cancel basketball season, you can go find somewhere to play. They play basketball all over the world. They play baseball all over the world. They don't play football anywhere but here.
Nope.
That's it. So you got to find something to do with all these scholarships. Mike Krzyzewski, another of the biggest names in all of in all of sports, said today, NCAA can't lose another NCAA tournament. The NCAA, the organization, can't lose another basketball tournament because over 90% of their revenue comes out of the tournament. In fact, it's 98%.
It's close to $400 million, wasn't it?
It cost them $375 million last year. That extra, okay?
Right.
And so the payouts to the schools were unbelievably less, and the decision on college basketball starting on time comes down in about a month. We found that out yesterday too. And basketball has been a long concern of mine. I think ever since the infectious disease experts said that was the biggest concern back early in the summer, even more so than football, I've been very concerned about college basketball. It is, but and I know what the argument against is, well, wait, you don't have the contact that you do in football. Yeah, you do. And it may not be the physical, beating that you take, but the contact, the body contact is every bit. You got no protective gear. The sport's played inside, and the sport's played right through the heart of flu season.
We're watching it here in studio. I'm pretty sure the Orlando Magic defender just hit the Lopez brother out of bounds with a hip check, and then they were talking with each other face to face.
Yeah. So you've got any number of problems that don't come up in other. It's basketball and wrestling. That was the other one that they talked about. So yeah, I'm concerned about all of these things, but the big names are they're no longer being silent about this. And for the most part, what they're saying is, you need to turn us loose. You need to let us play. We're adhering to all of your rules, so you need to let us go.
That's what it takes. That's why I was praising Coach O for this entire time, because he was out in front of it, and he wasn't scared to say the wrong thing like a lot of these coaches are. Now you're finally hearing from Nick Saban. You're finally hearing from Coach K. And I know Coach K's got a show in a podcast, I believe it's on Sirius XM, where he has had his voice, and he probably says stuff that doesn't make it to the mainstream media, but still, like, Coach K, you're a legend. You're one of the biggest names, if not the biggest, in college basketball. Go out there, and if you feel passionate about something and it's truly your feeling, get it out there. Let everyone know, because that carries weight. When Coach K, when Coach Saban, when they say something, look, they've earned the right. People are going to listen to them.
Students moving back in this week. That's the next big hurdle. Most of the schools have done it well. North Carolina did not.
Yeah.
We'll see how LSU holds up. Orlando's built the lead back into double digits. They're up 11, 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Make it 9
Hanny,
now.
they're up 24.5. I told you. They're up 24.5, okay?
Not everybody's got coin on the Magic today. Take a break. This is Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage, GMFSmortgage.com, helping you through the pandemic. And, your financial situation could improve. You just make that call. Go to GMFSmortgage.com. Get some information. Find out if a refi could really help you right now. The rates couldn't possibly be any lower. So right now, a refi will free up some cash here in the short term by being able to skip a mortgage payment or two. And, of course, you're going to get the long-term benefits of paying less for your house. If you want to go out on the market right now, your purchasing power has never been higher with these rates. And if you like where you are and you just need a little bit more room, a construction loan might make sense for you. Do what I did and thousands of others have done, and start your financial journey at GMFSmortgage.com. You'll sit down with a local counselor. They'll ask you some questions, and then they'll lay out all of the options that you have. Find out what you're pre-qualified for if you're going shopping for a new home. Find out exactly, to the penny, what it will save you every month on a refi. Those questions and a lot more will be answered, and you'll have all your options out in front of you. Start your journey today. When they talk about changing lives, they're talking about changing your budget every month at GMFSmortgage.com.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube page. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat. Find highlights for each show's channel and get notified whenever we go live.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, Your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. The full SEC schedule has been released. We will dissect it all on Tuesday's AFR. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
The Orlando Magic, the 8 seed, the 13-point underdog, the was it 50,000 to 1 not 50,000 to 1, they were plus 50,000 to win the NBA title.
Yeah.
Led by
50,000 to 1, I would have put $1 on it.
Led by 10 at the half and now lead by 13 at the end of 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Game 1 of the quadruple header. We found out yesterday that Andrus Peat had missed the Saints' opening of camp yesterday, or whatever, the first day in full pads. Today we found out why. The Associated Press saying that Peat has a broken thumb, going to miss 2 to 3 weeks, and is now looked at as questionable for week number 1. Nick Easton slides over there easy enough, but it does give you a little bit of pause. Yesterday, for the most part, they kept Eric McCoy at center and Cesar Ruiz at right guard. I don't know if that's exactly the way they planned it at the beginning. I think that if they had had OTAs, if they had had minicamp, if they'd had more of a normal structure, I think Sean Payton might have thought about going the other way and putting McCoy at guard. Without all of that, and with the season, rapidly approaching, McCoy was so good at guard, at center last year.
I mean, hell of a rookie year.
You don't want to put all of that on a rookie. Even they did it last year, but they had their full complement of off-season time. This time they don't have that. So now you're going to have McCoy at center, but two different players on either side of him. Although Easton played some
he did
last year,
and he did well. And he was a free agent signing that kind of made you scratch your head a little bit at the money they gave him at the time, but he became valuable when he had to step in a year ago. And if you're looking at the Saints depth chart, they've got a ton of guys who are center guard swing guys that can play both positions. You mentioned Easton, obviously Will Clapp, a guy that we all know, obviously from LSU. Will's had to play, in spots, and he's played some tight end. He's played obviously some guards, so he's kind of been all over the place, and you feel good about the depth there. It's not going to be an injury that worries me if I'm a Saints fan, because he will be back. And I think the Saints offensive line is so versatile in the fact that they can play multiple positions. We know Pete can kick out the tackle if he has to. Now, it's not where you want him, but he can do it. And so I love that they've built a roster on guys that if someone does get hurt, they've got multiple guys that can fill in multiple positions that they feel good about. Now, you can have that and not feel good about them, but they have shown they'll throw Will Clapp in there. They'll throw Nick Easton in there with Ruiz and McCoy being able to play both. Again, it's just depth upon depth.
That was something that Kenny Trahan brought up, that they built this team from the inside out with multiple linemen. It's first round pick after first round pick after first round pick. Well, there's a reason that they did that. And I wasn't on draft night. I wasn't wild about the Ruiz pick, but I came around
Caesar
on it. I came around on it in a hurry on that. Justin Jefferson turning some heads at Vikings camp. He started out on the COVID list for a brief period of time, and now that he's in camp, has really started to make an impact.
Yeah, Courtney Cronin, who's joined our show before, she's tweeted out a couple of videos and a couple of different things of Jefferson looking really good in the slot, moving around, motioning, running routes off that motion, and it looks natural to him. That is going to be a key position for the Vikings because you lose your top guy, obviously, to Buffalo. Now you're going to ask Jefferson to make up a lot of production. I mean, when you lose that much production from Diggs, you're going to ask a rookie to do it, but it looks like he has been, lockstep with the first-team offense so far. And this is a very savvy player. It's a savvy player that, yes, you would have liked to have the OTAs and all the mini camps, but just like Joe Burrow, another savvy player, they can make up a lot. And they were doing the right things when they were away, when they got their playbooks and when they had the virtual meetings. Everything you hear is Jefferson was doing things the right way, man. I'm expecting a big year from him. I mean, if he went out there and the Vikings and he ended up being their leading receiver, and I know they got Thielen out there as well, but if he was their leading receiver, it not surprise me at all.
I was interested to see what they were going to do, and I know they can mix and match it a little bit, but Thielen, I think, had more catches out of the slot than anybody in the NFL last year, and Jefferson had more catches out of the slot. I think every one of his catches for LSU last year, except for three or four, were out of the slot. So you've got these two dominant slot receivers. Which one are you going to put there, and which one are you going to put on the outside? They probably won't do the same thing over and over again. But good to hear good news out of him early in camp.
Well, they put Thielen out there. He has been as an outside receiver a bunch in camp, and that's kind of been to the surprise of some people who cover the Vikings day in and day out. So, look, they both had the ability. They had the ability if they want to play outside. His nickname is Jets. I kept telling people that for a reason, even though you are questioning his 40-yard time before he ran it. So they've got options. They got guys that can do both. And so, again, I think Justin Jefferson's set up for a monster rookie year.
Well, couldn't happen for a better guy, right? I mean, his story is just
love it.
Fantastic.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for those 2 stars, baby.
I do. I do. By the way, that COVID list that he was on earlier that had at one point swelled, I think, almost to 100, is down to 12 now.
Yep.
So if we're watching that story, and we have to continue to watch that story, right, that camps are open, guys are not in a bubble, they're adhering to protocols, but they're not in a bubble. You're down after, they've been in football school for 3 weeks now, something like that, since they reported for testing. You're down to 12. I would call that pretty encouraging, right? I mean, we don't want to just report the bad news. Can we report the good news? Hey, listen, so far,
people that do the only bad news, but we know
it's holding, right?
Yep.
I think I'd call 12 out of 2,600 players. That's pretty good. Another guy that's turning some heads in camp is Jameis Winston, or Tamus, as Drew Brees called him yesterday. One of the things I noticed immediately about him on the Zoom call that he had when he signed with the Saints was he's dropped some weight.
Yeah.
He looked like he had really trimmed up, and that was something that Sean Payton talked about yesterday, is that he came into camp in good shape. Hey, listen, never gonna question the guy's arm, never gonna question the guy's ability. It was 2 things. Are you going to be in good shape, and are you going to make better decisions with the football and not turn it over? Guy did throw for 5,000 yards last year. So good start for him in the best quarterback room in the league.
Yeah, eventually Drew Brees is not going to be able to be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, and that's probably in the near future. We talk about it for the last 3 off seasons. And if you can groom a guy that's got as much talent as Jameis Winston, you got him on the cheap. If you make him feel comfortable within your organization the year he's the backup, yeah. And if you see signs that he can be a better decision maker, because that's the number one thing. I don't care if you had LASIK surgery and you can see 20/20. It's still you're throwing it to the wrong guy too many times, and it's a coverage breakdown. It's not because you didn't see the defensive back, right? So if he can continue to grow, Sean Payton has shown he can work with any quarterback with any skill set, because we do know the talent is there. And that also allows Taysom Hill to stay in his slash role and also be a backup quarterback. I think it is a win-win for the Saints. And if he continues to improve, I do think he could be the starter for the New Orleans Saints in the future.
Today's show brought to you in part by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. They've done it for me. They've done it for my wife and other members of our family. It's pain from auto accidents, pain from sports injuries. Sometimes you just get a little bit older, things start to hurt. Didn't hurt before, whether it's a herniated disc or muscle or ligament strain, neck or back discomfort. Let them make a program for you to ease your suffering through exercises and stretches, dry needling, electric nerve stimulation, ultrasound or cryotherapy. 4 locations, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, 13406 Airline Highway, 2832 Plank Road, 467 Oak Plaza Boulevard in Bruley, and on Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, with easy access from both I-10 and I-12. Magic still holding a 9-point lead. We are down to about 9 minutes to go in the bubble in Orlando. The Magic looking to pull the upset in the first game today. Ask us when we return. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you every single day by Richards Honda. Of course, you can find them online at richardshonda.com, where you can do it all. You can check for those specials we always tell you in the bottom left corner. You've got 13 days, 9 hours, 18 minutes left to save in their current offers. Also in the bottom right corner of the website, you can have a chat with sales, whatever it is. No matter what your question is, they can answer it right there on the spot. Of course, you're going to find the Warm Fuzzy Promise on the homepage of richardshonda.com. You can schedule service in their state-of-the-art service center. You can order parts and accessories on richardshonda.com. But we would encourage you, go see them at 13413 Millerville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. That's I-12 and Millerville. They have over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles priced to move right now. So go check them out. No matter what you're looking for, no matter what your lifestyle calls for, car, hybrid, midsize SUV, full-size SUV, van, truck, they have got something you're going to fall in love with and drive off the lot over at Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Divorce is hard. Divorce is messy. Divorce is exhausting. The law offices of O.C. Brown walked me through my divorce and helped me find the right solution for me, my kids, my finances, and my property.
Call the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can get into a new Camry for $239 per month or take 0% financing for 6 years. $239 per month or 0% for 6 years. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas. Happy Town, USA.
Join us for a Tuesday edition of Game Time with Jimmy Ott and Ben Mintz. The guys are live from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street to recap the SEC football schedule release and more. Tune in from 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Ask us in our YouTube chat. Let's see. Ask us Vital bashing today. We did Vital bashing yesterday, so we didn't repeat today. But unless something new has happened, has he figured out the Twitter machine?
Until Dick tweets something again about LSU, we've already let him have it yesterday.
Ask us National Mail Order Catalog Day. Who comes up with these things? What was the one thing you wanted for Christmas as a kid after looking at it in a catalog? Did you have? Were they still doing catalogs when you were kids?
Chill out, Hanny. Yes, yes. Especially like JCPenney, Sears, Toys R Us catalog.
Yeah.
The Crossfire game. So you put these little BBs into this gun, and it had this little triangle in the middle of it. You had to shoot it into your opponent's goal. Crossfire. I circled that with the biggest Sharpie I could find one year, and I'll never forget it. I got my kids Crossfire. They liked it for about 3 minutes. And like, all right, next. Different time in the 80s growing up.
Okay, so for me, when we got the Sears catalog, it was when you found out what the new Star Wars toys were going to be. I grew up from Star Wars through Return of the Jedi. Whatever they were going to put out new, that was when you found out what it was. So for me, it was always the Star Wars toys. Ask us, red fish or red snapper?
Red fish.
Would you believe I'm allergic to both?
You are?
I am allergic to only two things, red fish and cats. Don't ask me why. I don't know what I can eat speckled trout, flounder, mahi-mahi, obviously catfish, any kind of, I cannot eat red fish. I will swell up like a balloon.
All right, I'm allergic to anything with a stinger. Anything with a stinger. So don't be trying to bring any bees or wasps or murder hornets in here, Playboy Marty.
Ask us, what can we do to get Nookie to end his YouTube chat boycott? I don't know. I don't know. He's
missed.
He's reached out on Twitter
beloved here.
A little bit. Ask us any huddle withdrawal. We're getting used to the new format. It's I'm
gonna have to figure out how I want to reply. It was
replying
easy,
is different.
It was easy to reply in the huddle. Obviously, you just quote tweeted it kind of there on the huddle. I'm gonna have to get used to that a little bit.
Let's see. Ask us first LSU home game with fans. According to what they sent out today, the league's not going to have any problems if the schools can do it individually. I would encourage you to. The phase 2 order expires a week from Friday, which means that if the governor keeps doing what he's been doing, he will have a press conference on Monday to tell us whether they're extending that or not. If he extends it, it's going to get really close to the opener. He's done 3 weeks. The past couple times he's done some 2 weeks. So from August the 28th to September the 26th, if he extends phase 2 for 3 weeks, 3 more weeks, then I think it's going to be tough. I think if Louisiana's still in phase 2, I think it's going to be tough. If they go to phase 3, that's different. The numbers are at least moving in the right direction. So did we answer the question?
Yeah.
maybe the first one, but watch the governors. Let's see. Ask Hanny. A genie will get rid of COVID for the world, but you have to live 1 year in a Groundhog Day scenario where the day is January 9th, 2012. Are you in? Let me tell you this. Short of my death or the death of a loved one, I will do just about anything to get rid of COVID. So, yeah, that day was bad. I had a bad feeling the whole day. The pregame was long. Yeah. Walking to the Superdome, I didn't feel great. The game was terrible. We had our pregame shirt, our game day shirts on, like the one I'm wearing right now. Rish and I going back to the going back to the Sheraton to do the thing. And in the drunken stupor that a lot of the LSU fans that had watched the game in the lobby were in, they mistook us for coaches with coaches' shirts on.
Right.
That didn't go well because we basically got, accosted at the door because we didn't put Jarrett Lee in the game.
Right.
Which was not my fault.
Wasn't your decision,
by the way. But yes, to get rid of
yeah.
COVID, I'd do it for a year.
That one was bad. I told the story. Spent a lot of money getting from California to New Orleans on that game, and would have spent whatever if LSU would have won. But that one hurt. Another one that doesn't get talked about a lot is when Florida came here for the Hurricane game and had the goal line stand when guys went the wrong way. That one hurt me. I was crouched down on the goal line, on the LSU sideline, expecting to celebrate an LSU touchdown. And when that happened, that one crushed me. That hurt.
That was bad. One of the losses that stuck with me, it wasn't because it was a particularly great LSU team, but the game in '98 against Alabama here, when it looked like they had them beat, and an Alabama defensive back, I don't remember who it was, took the ball away from Abram Booty, and it was going to be the first time in my lifetime that LSU had beaten Alabama in Tiger Stadium. I mean, the streak had gone that long at that point.
Why are you bringing up Evangel people and looking at me like that?
Because you're sitting across from me. Who else am I going to look at? Playboy Marty's behind
Playboy's
the
from
screen.
Shreveport. Look at him.
He ripped the ball away, and I was like, man, that was going to be the first one. That one stuck with me for a while. Ask us, what percentage chance are we going to have college football in the fall? I'm at 15%. I'm higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
Way higher than that. Right now, I'm at like 75%.
The SEC is not like the Big Ten. They would not release the schedule if they didn't have confidence moving forward. It's not to guarantee, not speaking in absolutes here, but the SEC and their leadership is a little bit different. They don't release that schedule unless they feel like everything is moving in the right direction.
Yeah. The term 2 weeks has been thrown around a lot during the pandemic. Wait 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks. I haven't said it because it drives me crazy, but I will say it this time. Give me 2 weeks with the students on campus. After 2 weeks of the students on campus, if it breaks out and everybody ends up being North Carolina in the Southeast, well, then we're screwed. Okay. But if they don't, if they're there for 2 weeks, I don't think without an outbreak that causes them to close school down, then I think that you can get the 2 more weeks to get you to the opener.
Yeah.
At least at that point. Let's see. Drew ask us, does LSU finish its 10-game SEC season? That one's harder because it gets you into the cold and flu season, and you could see an outbreak near the end of the season. I would say if I think there's a 75% chance that the season starts, I think there's probably a 50% chance that it finishes. That's kind of where I am right now.
A lot of unknown, Hanny.
Yeah.
A lot of unknown.
Yeah. Ask us, National Fajita Day. Favorite kind of fajitas? Tell you what, you take me over to Superior Grill.
I was about to say,
you give me their steak, their steak fajitas.
I'll take combo. I'll take steak. I'll take shrimp. I'll take anything from Superior, honestly.
Yeah. Ask us, best guess as to number of fans that will be allowed to attend games.
The 20,000 figure's kind of been thrown out.
20%, yeah. That's
for almost every school that has the capacity of LSU.
I think so. Ask Jacob, coach that gave the best pregame speeches.
Bo Pelini.
Really?
Yeah. I always forget like what you've been on the show for and haven't been on stories wise. Jimbo was more about like game plan. Like it wasn't to fire you up; it was to make sure you knew. Les was short and to the point in his pregame speeches, but Bo would take it to another level. Bo would get up there and act insane, which I love. So he would give the defense their speech, and it would be awesome. And I think he paid attention because Flynn and I would always have our chairs turned in Dixon, and we'd be paying attention to what he was saying to the defense, and he caught on to that. And so it became, and let me tell you something, offense, and would just go after it and would almost lose his mind. It was perfect. I loved it. It still gets me fired up to this day.
Did he go last? Or it
was after everybody else was done talking.
So Les wasn't the last voice.
Well, Les would give you the good word, but Bo was kind of on his own. It wasn't like, hey, Bo, give him the good word. It was, Bo's going to give you the good word.
Okay. All right. You might be good with your magic bet right here.
Feeling good about it.
109 to 97 with 5 minutes to go. Magic were a 13-point underdog and lead it by 12. 5 minutes to go. Big upset brewing in the bubble.
Things you love to see.
Well, if you're on your side of the thing.
Oh, I love upsets.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
Knicks made the finals as an 8 seed one year.
I'm okay if there's an upset later tonight. Portland and the Lakers. They're only a 6.5-point dog tonight.
That one it's got some stink on it because the Blazers have been the most covered team in the bubble.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The Lakers go 3-5 in the bubble, so a lot of people putting a lot of dog hairs on the Blazers because of that.
You're going stinky line of the night?
Could be.
Stinky line of the night.
Could be.
I got it. Okay. All right. Thanks to our guests today. Thanks to Chris Doering, to Alex Scarborough, to Hunt Palmer, to Jimmy Ott, and thanks to our crew in here, my man Josh Ward, Playboy Marty, and, of course, Paul O'Neill.
Hey, Paul should be in a good mood. Paul should be in a pretty good mood. The Braves had a walk-off last night. They're down to the Nationals. They got to score 4 in the ninth to be able to win the game. Adam Duvall hits a 2-run homer. Dansby Swanson hits a straightaway 416-foot homer to center field. So he's been smiling all show. Now, I know he didn't say a lot, but he's still been smiling all show because anytime the Braves beat the Nationals, it's a good day, and the celebration was on point. Did you see it?
I didn't.
It was good. It was they kind of jumped up in the air and did a lot of hand claps.
The fake
air
fives.
Claps.
Yeah, the air fives. Yeah, I got it. I did see
Hanny.
that. I forgot about that. All right. Thanks to everybody for participating. Stay tuned for AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge, no matter what